Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
People are mad. People are angry. People are frustrated. Not us. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I'll speak for myself. I am upset on behalf of both Miami and Ole Miss that they are not in the second to last, the penultimate college football playoff rankings. But am I shocked that Alabama is in? No, I'm not shocked. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I just feel like this whole thing was a little bit of a waste of time if a 3-loss team is getting in over a 2-loss team, and that's what we found out last night.
Well, I mean, you can't just say that as a blanket statement because obviously, as this thing continues in the coming years, there's going to be better 3-loss teams than 2-loss teams. Like, just a number of losses doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't tell you anything.
But it had for basically the last 10 weeks of both polls, last 4 weeks of the college football playoff poll, they had been rewarding. The committee had been rewarding. Yeah. If you have fewer losses, you're ranked higher. Now all of a sudden that's out the window.
Right, but you're not going to rank. My point is, in general, you're not going to rank a 3-win or a 2-loss MAC team over a 3-loss Alabama team. You have to take context in. Obviously, just the number of losses alone is not a big enough number.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
But I was told strength of schedule didn't matter as much as wins and losses. And now all of a sudden it matters. So if we can lay this out for you a little bit and hope you're having a great morning wherever you are in this great country. If you can lay it out, the top 4 seeds today who would get a bye, Oregon, Boise State, SMU, and Texas. After that, the first round matchups would be Tennessee, Ohio State, Penn State, Arizona State, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Georgia, Indiana. Now, a couple of things. Miami gets left out. Ole Miss gets left out. South Carolina gets left out. And Alabama gets into this field. And I think even Perloff, for the biggest Alabama diehard, do they really deserve to be in this field? If you're going with 3-loss SEC teams, I think I can make a better case for South Carolina and for Ole Miss than I can for Alabama.
I can. I mean, I think Alabama's, first of all, they're right there. South Carolina, they automatically knock out because they beat them head-to-head. Why? It's funny. I haven't heard a lot of outrage on the Ole Miss front. I'm hearing a lot of Miami, and I'm hearing even more South Carolina than Ole Miss. What's your case for Ole Miss?
Well, Ole Miss handed Georgia their worst loss in 6 years, regular season loss. They beat South Carolina on the road, and I think their losses, which was Kentucky, obviously this last one at Florida 2 weeks ago, but Florida is much better now than they were earlier in the season. You've got to acknowledge that. None of their losses were as bad as Alabama losing to Oklahoma the way they did. It's just the truth. And I think the other one was an overtime loss to LSU. So Ole Miss lost to Kentucky by 3 points, LSU by 3, and lost to Florida by a touchdown. And again, that was in the swamp, and Florida is much better now than they were when they played EJ's Miami Hurricanes at the beginning of the season. And I think Ole Miss, look at the roster, too. Absolutely stacked top to bottom. These are a lot of guys who you're going to be watching in the NFL. Obviously, Alabama, too. It's the SEC. I just would rather see, and I think Ole Miss has a better shot at this and being and showing themselves as one of the best teams in the country than Alabama does. Alabama losing to Oklahoma and then getting to beat up on Mercer, to me, doesn't mean you've ended the season in this amazing high and this amazing run.
One thing about Ole Miss, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of those losses, Kentucky was in Ole Miss.
It was. September 28th, they lost. But Kentucky took Georgia to the brink. Kentucky, for a while earlier this season, was almost like Vanderbilt. It was who Alabama lost to, and Vandy ends up finishing the season 6-6, by the way. Yep. But Vandy was putting scares into everybody.
Yeah, I understand. And Vandy, I think was a pretty good team to beat Alabama. I think Alabama lost some road SEC games. That's the, I don't know.
So did Ole Miss. Yeah. Ole Miss lost at LSU, and they lost at Florida. Again, they beat Georgia soundly. Alabama didn't. Alabama had a big lead on Georgia, and then Georgia came back and took the lead, and Alabama then took the lead back. Remember that crazy, wild game? So,
I mean, the big debate out there, is Miami versus Alabama.
Let's talk about Miami versus Alabama.
I just explained to some of the guys out in the hall 3 words, actually, to describe why they made this decision.
Okay, tell me.
Alabama, Ole Miss. That's it. Who do you think they're putting in?
Because we're talking about brand. Then don't do this, okay? Then don't do...
Don't do what?
Because here's the thing about brands.
What's this?
Well, okay. This is just reverse engineering who you want in the bracket, getting them in, and then explaining it, right? And I know none of this is going to be perfect, but if you're talking about brand, then I am sorry, but this is going to be tough then if Boise loses to UNLV. We love Boise. We're on in Boise. We love you guys. But even Boise would have to say they're not a bigger national brand than some of the SEC teams. What about SMU? I bet if you polled, and we love SMU too. We know we've got listeners who went to SMU, and we love you guys. But if you polled the casual sports fan, they're probably still talking about the Pony Express.
Right.
So if it's just going to be about brand, it's not going to be about merit, then you might as well just,
Well, they'll kick Boise State out if they don't win. So that'll be on brand. I mean, listen, as many pointed out last year, Alabama jumped an undefeated ACC team. You really think they're going to keep them out which is just a bigger brand than Miami?
Yeah, but that FSU thing was crazy because the quarterback got hurt and all of that.
They were undefeated.
That
was 100 times crazier than putting them behind Miami, who lost 2 games. Also, too, let's get into it. What is Miami's big wins?
Okay, what are Miami's big wins? What are SMU's big wins?
Not much. But
what
at
are
least,
Boise's big wins?
But SMU has one less loss than.
So now we're doing wins losses.
Yeah, but you're comparing SMU.
So now
and
why is Alabama in with 3 losses? Like, we can go around and around on this.
Barry, Alabama theoretically probably would have jumped SMU in the same spot too if SMU had 2 losses. I'm just saying. You're not going to count the loss in the conference title game against SMU because the only reason they're in the conference title game is because they won their way there. So you view conference title game losses way differently.
Right. So if Clemson beats SMU, Alabama's going to be out.
Yeah, SMU gets that spot. Unless it's like a complete blowout or a quarterback gets hurt. So, but basically, obviously SMU gets in over Miami, right? There's no debate there. So then you're going it's Miami versus Alabama, and I think it's like kind of obvious. There was no doubt in my mind that it was going to be Alabama, especially because the AP came out and put Alabama so much higher than Miami.
Yeah, and Alabama has 3 losses and Miami has 2. And I understand that Miami has lost 2 of their last 3 games. It was to a Georgia Tech team by a field goal, and Georgia Tech just took Georgia to 8 overtimes. And then it was to Syracuse, and to be honest, I think you put that loss on the coach, not the players. And Cam Ward is going to be one of the top. Like, if you're Miami, you're like, well, we have all the benchmarks. We've got a superstar player. Yeah. We've got a high-profile program. We've got national offense. We have a national fan base. Like,
you cannot possibly say the players were not at fault in that Syracuse game. Like, you could not tackle. You could not cover. Their defensive players were awful in that game.
I know.
Awful.
And when in college football are we like, well, let's prioritize defense over offense? I mean, in this era of college football, everyone loves offense. And you've got Cam Ward, as DJ said, you got the number 1 scoring offense in the country. You want points, you want excitement, Miami will give it to you.
And also, too, EJ, I know you're upset about Miami, but some of those wins were as weak as possible.
I'm going to step in for EJ on this one because I heard that last night and we're talking about the college football playoff rankings if you're just joining us, and Miami got screwed and they got left out of this 12-team bracket. You can't bring up Cal and Virginia Tech now.
Why?
Because if you were so unconvinced by those wins because they had controversial whistles at the end, then you should have dropped Miami long before this. You can't go back now to the close wins because there's a couple teams that have had close wins, and that's just part of college football. So to revisionist history and say, well, they really should have lost to Tech and they really should have lost to Cal. If they should have lost then, punish them then.
Well, yeah, but so you're going to change the last 20 years of college football history and actually care about those week-to-week rankings when they've never meant anything? This is the year where all of a sudden they mean something?
Well, this is the year where it's all of a sudden new. And so we're trying to, figure out what actually matters. And another thing that clearly doesn't matter is teams that are outside the SEC and the Big Ten. Power 4 is such a affront. It's Power 2 and 2 others. Because the ACC and the Big 12 are not getting anywhere close to the respect that the Big Ten and the SEC are.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that you'd be okay with that.
What are you talking about? Of course it's that way. And because if they don't do that, then the Big Ten and the SEC are going to say bye-bye.
Okay, well, that's a threat that they might be able to make. But I'm surprised you'd be okay with that, Pearl, because you have been very adamant about how NIL and the transfer portal has created parity in college football. So maybe, and how Georgia can't stack 5 stars at every position anymore, and Alabama can't do that. And that's why we see teams beating each other. If there's more parity, then there's more parity. It's not just from top to bottom of the SEC. It means there's more parity and better teams in the ACC, and there should be better teams in the Big 12 also. If the money is going to spread out the talent, then the conferences should have a little bit more equal respect, no?
No. I think strength of schedule is so huge. Like they really like have to respect strength of schedule, because if you don't and you have a Notre Dame playing nothing but high school teams, then you're going to never have good games again in college football. Everyone's going to follow their scheduling format. I mean,
they haven't cared about strength of schedule up until now.
Because they've considered it all year. It's been a big metric.
Has it? I don't think it has. I think it's been more about it's been more about win-loss record.
Well,
this is how Penn State. Before Penn State had, what was their strength of schedule? Not Penn State. Yeah,
you mean Indiana?
Indiana. Thank you. Indiana. Their strength of schedule is in the hundreds.
Right, but when
they were ranked 5th in the country.
Right, but when they lost to Ohio State, they kept them high because their strength of schedule popped way above Miami. Like they said Indiana gets ahead of Miami because it's bigger strength of schedule. That was their only rationale, right?
Okay, so I understand this format, but what's Boise's strength of schedule? I understand they lost to Oregon by 3 points. That's a quote-unquote good loss, but who else have they played?
But they haven't lost to anybody. Yeah, I mean, generally, though, when you're talking about teams that lost, like, you can't ignore this. Like, Alabama has much better wins than Miami. I mean, I'm a big strength of win and strength of schedule person. So I have no problem with this. I mean, Miami beat Florida, but that was Graham Mertz Florida. I'm sorry. It's just not impressive.
Well, but again, see, that's where I would make my case for Ole Miss, because Ole Miss lost to Florida, but that's a very different Florida team than what we saw in the beginning of the year. Anyway, so this is just a little of what's going on with 855-212-4227. So the biggest controversies, Miami getting left out, Ole Miss getting left out. You can definitely make a case for South Carolina in terms of playing best at the most important time.
I think it goes south. I mean, South Carolina is a bigger controversy than Ole Miss, right?
No, because Ole Miss beat South Carolina in South Carolina.
But I feel like South Carolina, aren't they? Who's ranked higher right now?
I thought Ole Miss was. I mean, it's head-to-head. If you care about head-to-head, then Ole Miss beat South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
South Carolina, though, I think has a strong case. Because at a certain point of head-to-head, you kind of lose the thread. Because then you have to push down Alabama and Georgia.
Ole Miss is 13. South Carolina is 14.
Okay. AP, South Carolina is 2 spots ahead of Ole Miss. Anyway, I thought I've heard a lot of people were mad about South Carolina.
They should be. South Carolina's won 6 games in a row.
So let me ask you, Maggie. Okay, let's put you on the spot.
They lost by 2 points to Alabama at Alabama.
So you have 1 spot for Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Miami. Who are you putting in?
I actually think Ole Miss, but I get where South Carolina's going. And you know what? I think Miami should be in. And okay, so I'll switch it to Miami.
You should be on the committee with that kind of logic.
I'm going to go with Miami because the 2 losses versus the 3 losses. And I don't think the losses are as bad as people are making them out to be. Again, we watched Georgia Tech take Georgia to the brink in 8 overtimes. Georgia Tech's not this walkover team. And I thought the Syracuse game, any different way. That could have gone any different way. And if Mario Cristobal instead doesn't decide to kick a field goal at the end of the game, then maybe Miami does actually win. Like, these were close. No one got boat raced like Alabama did to Oklahoma. That's, to me, you get blown out.
Blown out? I mean, that game was not exactly a blowout.
Well, that game was also not competitive.
I would say it wasn't competitive.
That game.
Yeah, I mean, that was a mess of a game. I'm not sure. I mean, listen, Alabama had 3 touchdowns that were called back. That game was wonky as all get out.
Oh, now you're just
Oh, come on. You guys watch that game. It wasn't like Alabama was out of that game.
Pearl, we can't say Alabama, who lost by 3 touchdowns, it was a wonky game. But Miami wins close games. And no, we got to look at those games real close. There was referee.
The Cal, the Virginia Tech. This is designed chaos. And I think people were upset. And I'm curious what our audience thinks at 855-212-4227, because Miami 2 losses is out. Ole Miss and South Carolina 3 losses, but I think better than Alabama right now, also out. And Alabama sneaks their way in. Now, does Alabama stay in? We're not sure.
Yeah.
Because it depends what happens with the ACC championship game. If Clemson beats SMU, would they really kick out SMU? We were told if you make a conference championship game, you can't be like hurt by that. You can't you can't be impacted negatively if you win the right to go to your conference championship game, but you lose.
So are we ready for 16 next year? Or could we just blow it? I know it's like a 2-year deal, right? Why not just go, let's do 16, then we wouldn't have any of these problems. You get Miami in, you get Ole Miss and South Carolina in, and we're good.
I don't think that would solve all the problems.
Well, who'd be left out?
I'm talking about we got to rework the format here.
So what part of it? Just to clarify.
Okay, so if you're trying to get the best 12 teams, right, to decide the national champion, I don't think it's right to all of a sudden say we're going to give the bye weeks to the highest ranked conference champions. I think you got to give the bye weeks to the people who earn the bye weeks. And winning your conference is important, but the committee is telling you that they don't see the Big 12 and the ACC on the same level as the SEC and the Big 10. So I think you got to, like, the idea that if the playoff was today, that if Penn State, let's say everything just stays, that Penn State would host Arizona State.
Okay.
And then play Boise in the next round.
Okay.
Feels like a much bigger advantage, even though you don't get a bye, as opposed to Oregon, who would get a bye, but would have to face the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State. That doesn't really feel like you're giving the advantage to the team that had the bye week.
I totally agree with that, but I think the much bigger issue is who gets in. Like, once you're in, especially this year, like, I think all bets are off. Like, I think, like, the real key debate, like, you're totally right about that. It's a good point on format. But as far as picking the 12 teams, is there anything formatically wrong they did? Probably. I mean, it's just like, it's a tough choice. There's no obvious answers there. They kind of had to, you could make, everybody there has a case. So, of course, they picked the biggest brand.
Yeah.
Alabama definitely has a case. If they had if they weren't Alabama, they'd be like, well, look at this. We beat Georgia, same with Ole Miss. But basically, at a certain point, you have a 3-way tie with South Carolina, Alabama, and Ole Miss. All 3 of those teams. Don't they all have cases? Is there any team that doesn't?
They do, and I kind of think Alabama's the weakest. That's why I'm surprised they got in.
But watching football, that Alabama is not the weakest team out of that group.
I think Ole Miss and South Carolina would both beat Alabama right now.
I don't think so.
Alabama lost to Oklahoma.
I mean, Jackson Arnold, Alabama has a vulnerability against running quarterbacks. There is no doubt about it. But
right, it's college football, Pearl. That's what they do. They run.
I know, but they beat South Carolina's running quarterback.
Barely.
Come on. South Carolina hit an onside kick. It wasn't like, they kind of like, they won that game. They were pretty decisively ahead in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I know South Carolina had a couple lucky plays at the end of the game. Anyway, regardless, like you're telling me South Carolina should be in over Alabama? It doesn't feel right to me.
I think they're playing better.
I don't know. I bet you if they played on neutral field, would you really, like, who'd be favored? I'll tell you right now, Alabama would be favored.
Yeah, but again, is this the bias that comes in because it's Alabama? 855-212-4227. Okay, lots to unpack here with this committee, with the second to last rankings. Again, Miami out, Ole Miss out, South Carolina out, Alabama in? How do we feel about that? 855-212-4227. I said we weren't upset about it. I think we are upset about it. EJ, I know, is upset about it.
I'm not. I put Alabama in over all those teams.
I'm furious.
But you're a front runner. 855-212-4227. I'm sorry, Alabama's one of your teams, though. You like them.
Listen, I love Cam Ward. I would kill to see him in this final 12. He's much more entertaining than anybody else there. But, I mean, I just think you got to reward strength of schedule. Like, I don't like seeing Penn State beating nobody. I don't like it. I have bad vibes throughout this bracket. Like, honestly, like Ohio State, they stink. Is everyone aware of this? Did you watch the Nebraska game? They ran for 1.8 yards per carry. This is college football. Anybody can rip off 8 yards of run.
But according to this committee you love, Pearl, apparently losing to a 6-win Michigan team is not as bad as losing to a 9-win Syracuse team that they just ranked in the top 25. Like, this committee, they're clowns, okay? Like, they have no real, like, points to measure in terms of how they're ranking this thing because it's bogus. Alabama could lose to Oklahoma and they fall less than Miami, losing to a 9-win team they just put into the top 25.
Dude,
Ohio State loses to Michigan.
You know,
team
they
that
lost
can't
to
throw the football. And
Syracuse football, EJ, not Syracuse basketball.
Syracuse would maul
Syracuse
Michigan.
football. Syracuse football. I mean, what the heck have they done in the last 67 years, except for that year Donovan was there?
But
Get
here's
out
the
of
thing.
here.
See, this is the difference, though. Syracuse has Ohio State's quarterback. And by the way, he's one of the, in terms of production, he's had an amazing season.
Yeah.
So
4,000 yards.
this is the parity, right?
I mean, we all saw Kyle McCord at Ohio State.
And he's much better at Q's. 855-212-4227.
It's a level of competition.
See, I don't know about that. Because
look what SMU does in that conference. They run up and down the field like crazy. Yeah, you think that Syracuse and SMU and Miami and all those teams would have the same record in the SEC? I do not think so.
Well, but here, you can go to another school and you can keep developing as a quarterback. What do you think happened to Bo Nix? I mean, Bo Nix was not very good at Auburn. He ends up going to Oregon, and he is now this star in the NFL. Like, you can get better.
Man, Kyle McCord killed Ohio State last year. And I love Kyle McCord because he's from Philly.
No,
killed them.
He had a bad game in the game, but he didn't have a terrible overall season. 855-212-4227. Okay, college football, guys, let's get it going. What say you? You can watch the show, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork, and on X, Maggie Gray. Let's do this. We got a lot for you today, including NFL as well. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Getting into that, what's your best win game? Penn State beat Illinois 21-7. What a joke. Give me a break. That's the thing. Like, this is such a weak field after Oregon. It's crazy to me. Like, everybody is super flawed. I don't know what it means. It just feels like they picked the right year or the wrong year to go to 12 teams because name a team. And even Oregon, their best win is over Ohio State. And I don't know if that's a good team. Like, what happened to the good teams, Maggie? Or is this always like this? I'm just noticing it now.
No, I think you're right. I think it's the parity thing.
Yeah.
I think it's the fact that NIL and being able to pay guys means why would a 5-star sit behind another 5-star when they can go play at a different school, which is why I'm surprised that the SEC and the Big Ten did get so heavily favored in these first rankings.
Yeah.
4 teams each out of both of those conferences and 1 team each out of the ACC, the Big 12, and the Mountain West, and then obviously Notre Dame.
But I think that there are a couple teams with big rosters. Like Oregon has a nice roster. Ohio State has a dream team of a roster. They just have such a bad coaching staff with Chip Kelly. I'm sorry, like he's
as their OC.
Yeah, like that's a huge. So they gutted their own talent by coaching. So you could go up and down the list. I think Penn State's coaching is an issue. I really think that they're going to get tight in one of these big games. Like they're not a perfect team. Other than
but
Oregon,
they might get a really quote unquote easy path. They lose to Oregon in the Big Ten title game this Saturday, and they could host Arizona State. So we're talking about cold weather, warm weather. You want to go from Tempe to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania? Are there 2 more different places on planet Earth than Tempe, Arizona, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania?
I have a lot of Penn State fans in my life, and they would be terrified of Arizona State.
It's going to be like 20 degrees. This is going to be a weather loss.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, just James Franklin in big game has no history. And okay, so they win that game, then they get the next easy game.
They get Boise.
There's no easy pressure games for that guy. I'm sorry. Like, it's just, again, except for Oregon, you go through this list and everybody is super flawed. And the big Alabama-Miami debate. I mean, both these teams, Miami, come on. They have the worst defense. I love it, but their defense is terrible. So you could easily gut them. You think Ole Miss is filled with all these pros. I'm not sure. If you're going pros, then you got to get Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama up there too. So like
they are in.
There's like different metrics. Like any metric you choose, you can gut any of these teams' cases.
Well, that's true. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. You guys want to talk about it? We want to talk about it with you. David is in Louisville. He's up first. Good morning, David.
Good morning, and what is wrong with you people? We finally have a real playoff, and you're complaining that, 13, 14, 15, and 16 aren't getting in when we've never had more than 4. Get over it. Enjoy it. This is the best damn college football season I've ever been a part of, and you guys are just bitching about it.
No,
and I don't get it.
David,
Tell me why.
We're happy that we have this.
You
talk
don't
about.
sound like it.
Well, we're just talking about who's most deserving, because that if you want to just say, okay, kumbaya, let's all get together and play, then you might as well just give the whole entire bracket to the SEC and the Big Ten.
I don't think anybody has said that. You're only getting 12 teams. Nobody has said kumbaya, it's all okay. But you have to realize this is better than it's ever been. And at least fake it and act like you give a damn about it.
We give a damn more
People
than anybody.
People are listening to you, and you're already saying, well, next year when it's 16, it'll be better. You know damn good and well it's going to be 32 within 3 years.
Oh, yeah, just wait for 68, and pretty soon everyone's brain's going to turn to mush.
You know, we live in America, sister. It's money, and that's fine. That's what we all believe in. That's what we all vote for. And it will be 32 within 3 years, and that'll be fine. And we'll complain then, and we'll talk about 33 and 34 that didn't get in. Just
but
appreciate
David,
it's better than it was.
Okay, that's fine. We'll acknowledge it's better than it was, although I did make a case I thought 4 was better. But here's the thing. We'll acknowledge that it is better, and I guess thanks for the call, but I appreciate the call. We'll acknowledge that it's better. We can still argue over who deserves to get in and who doesn't. That doesn't mean that we don't like what we're watching. It just means that you want to say this is America, it's all about money. Well, there's another part about America where people like to think that it's who deserves what, who works the hardest and gets what they deserve. So that's also part of America. And that's what we're talking about this morning.
Well, the only problem I have with that call is, like, just because we're arguing about it doesn't mean we don't love it. Yeah, that's the whole point.
It's our livelihood. We love this.
I don't know.
We got more riding on this than anybody.
Yeah, I don't know if David is a Louisville fan, but, you know, he does have a point. If you go to 32, then get the Cardinals in. Like, let's have a giant party. I'm sorry. I thought 4 was silly. I always been at 12 to 16. I'd go 16 tomorrow. I wouldn't go 32, but 16 would be amazing. Imagine getting Miami back into that thing. I think they should go 16. Like, and I think they probably will.
Yeah, I mean, us talking about how it's going to expand does not mean we don't like it. But sure, do you. Andrew is in Orlando. Andrew, what's up?
Yes, good morning. First off, I want to say go Noles. Second off, this is strictly for the candy cane fans out there. I don't care that you don't make it in. You don't deserve to be in. We went undefeated last season. They put an SEC team in. We all know the playoffs is for the SEC. They think they the best teams in football, whatever. But go Noles and candy canes, good luck not making the playoffs this season.
Andrew calling in just to troll EJ and the other Canes fans. Never heard candy canes. It's really something to be calling in today as an FSU fan to troll Miami.
Get a nerve.
Well, this has just been an all-time bad season. But
I get 3 games next year, buddy.
I get that. I think FSU fans still have a right to be upset about last year, quite frankly. I get it.
It's just not the same. Like, their quarterback got hurt.
No, we know.
Our quarterback is a Heisman finalist. I don't want to hear about what happened last year with FSU. That is irrelevant to this conversation.
Don't worry. They've fixed everything. Gus Malzahn's coming.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Call the offense.
Maybe they win 5 games next year.
EJ, I feel like you've had this weird thing where
touchdowns.
You've gotten a little angrier every minute since that Miami loss. Like, you were resigned. You're like, we blew it. And now I feel like you've gotten legitimately more angry every minute.
I think EJ said the committee ruined my December.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The whole month.
Christmas is canceled in the Stewart household. It's over.
I thought the Knicks winning last night might make you happier. Let's go to Michael, who's in Oklahoma. Michael, what do you think about who's in and who's out?
Made me happy.
I think Alabama should be out. I think with that roster strength they've had for almost over a decade now, I think they have a little bit less excuse to win than everybody else. And so I think with all the hype they get for always being really good, I just think they also get the double-edged sword of no excuses as well. I think, like everybody's been saying, I think South Carolina's really playing really well. And my coach in high school always said a phrase that stuck with me, and I coach today, and I still say it, great teams bury good teams, and Alabama did not bury Oklahoma by any means.
They got buried by Oklahoma.
The other. Thank you, Michael. Yeah. No, Oklahoma put Alabama in a body bag that game, 24-3. Okay, keep them coming. We also have a poll question up there for you. You can go vote. The 4 controversial teams. Who deserves the at-large bid? Is it Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, South Carolina? Go to @Maggie and Pearl on X, and you can vote. Good morning, Andrew Bogish.
Guys, good morning. Your headlines are sponsored by Prize Picks. Football season's heating up, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download Prize Picks, use code PRIMITIMMY to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions.
I think it's prime time.
Oh, prime time.
It's prime time.
Sorry, prime time.
I know when
Use
it's all
code
bunched together.
Prime time.
Put the emphasis in the wrong.
Syllable. Our second most important bracket is now complete. The NBA Cup is down to its Elite Eight, and the red-hot Milwaukee Bucks are the 1 seed in the East.
Giannis, mid-range, pulls up, bullseye. Man, I'll tell you, they are cooking with Crisco right now.
Whatever you say, Dave Kane on Bucks Radio. Milwaukee cruising to a 128-107 win in Detroit, clinching Group B and that 1 seed, which was news to Doc Rivers postgame.
They put a tournament in front of us, and we want to win it. And we said that early on, and we're 4-0, but we still have a lot of work to do. But the bottom line is we earned a chance to play at home, I think. I don't even know the rules. I think that's true.
You don't need to know the rules. You do have a home game next week.
Spin doctor.
Whatever.
I don't even know about this crazy tournament. I've never even, although this one I might actually believe.
I thought they went to Vegas.
Not yet.
That's the finals. Semifinals and the finals.
Yeah.
Okay, I was only half listening when you said in-season tournament.
Thanks. The Thunder earned the top spot on the West side with a 133-106 decision over the Jazz. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 26 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. The Rockets could have been number 1, but they settled for the 2 seed after losing in Sacramento 120-111. The Suns beat the Spurs 104-93, but were denied a spot in the quarterfinals when the Mavs topped the Grizzlies 121-116. Phoenix also losing Kevin Durant to a second quarter ankle injury. If college football is your thing, it's Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State getting the first round byes in the last CFP bracket projection. Alabama, as you've heard, is in the field instead of Miami. The Tide would be at Notre Dame in the 6-11 game on opening weekend. Michigan fired first-year offensive coordinator Kirk Campbell yesterday, and Texas A&M QB Connor Wegman enters the transfer portal. College hoops, Clemson took down 4th-ranked Kentucky 70-66, and number 11 Wisconsin suffering its first loss 67-64 at home to Michigan. We may be on the verge of a Juan Soto decision. The mega free agent has begun the process of eliminating teams from contention. All those left, maybe just the New York teams and the Red Sox, have offers over $600 million on the table.
Man, he's so nervous right now. There's nothing you can do, dude. It's totally out of your hands. Yankee fan over here.
This is not fun. I'm just so filled with anxiety over this one Dominican player. Why do you have such a grasp on my life?
Man, what if he's a Red Sox?
Oh, stop.
I almost want that more than him being on my Mets.
A Red Sox?
Just so you can see me miserable daily.
I've gotten yelled at by, first of all, I've been told that you can't singularize Red Sox, so you can't. You can't.
Oh, that's interesting.
Who told you that? Ted Williams?
Yes.
Is that like Jimmy Butler's a Heat?
Just his head.
What is Jimmy Butler a Heat?
His clone.
Heat's a whole different thing.
Shaq was a Magic?
Wait, what else would he be? But those are also like singular by their nature. There's no such thing as a Red Sox.
Wait, how would Juan Soto be in Fenway? Like, I know right-handed, he'd destroy it, right? That'd be amazing.
Listen,
it's not a great ballpark for lefties. I know.
Yeah, I was wondering, is it not good for lefties? It's still
not.
Pretty short and right, too.
In the corner.
Fence is short.
Yeah.
But it's pretty deep back there. You would be a right-handed hitter in Fenway.
Also, you want him playing that right field?
Everyone keeps saying that.
I think it'd be
If he
fun.
needs to be a DH, he'll be a DH.
It'd be kind of fun for baseball if he went to Boston just to
Yeah, listen,
spread it out a little bit.
Boston hasn't been spending money in, has it been 6 years now?
Good.
But this could be their triumphant return. I personally think Scott Boras is using Boston against the Yankees.
Yeah.
And the Mets, I think the Mets are real because Steve Cohen's money is real. But I think using Boston against the Yankees, there's nothing that's going to make Manny more agitated or House Steinbrenner more agitated than thinking the Red Sox are in this.
Is there any chance that the Pedro David Ortiz those those awesome Dominican players. I think that might be what's keeping them in this too, because there's a long history. Manny Ramirez, a long history of these Dominican players that have went there and become icons. And
but don't you think
those guys have a brotherhood?
Oh, I get it, but don't you think now Dominican players are on every team, starring for every team?
Yeah, but it's different in Boston. I mean, again, you talk Dave Ortiz and Pedro Martin; those guys are icons. Like it's beyond, I think, than even these other teams, and they both starred in the same place. Manny Ramirez, I know he's disgraced for us, but for Dominican or Dominican Americans,
he's a hero
from the DR. He's a hero. So I was watching the documentary on the 04 Red Sox a couple of days ago. And David Ortiz talked a lot about that being a big reason why he went to the Red Sox, but with Pedro and what he did in Boston. So I think that could be a factor here.
I thought he's buddies with Trey Turner and Bryce Harper was going to get him to Philly. That was my good friends theory. So
you guys are out. You're not even in the final.
I know. Like I think that's
the Toronto Blue Jays have a better shot of getting him than the Phillies.
I think your Dominican argument is similar to my he loves Bryce Harper argument. Like I think at the end of the day he's going for the paycheck, right?
Yes.
Like that. So I think Maggie, you've said all along you think the Yankees ultimately can come in the last minute and get this done, right?
I do think he's going to be a Yankee. And now that I'm thinking about it more, because they've had a year to wine him and dine him. And I think he likes hitting with Judge.
Yeah, and they have the money, right? Like I think this has all been designed to just get the Yankees to pay the most.
Yes.
What about them? The Mets have so much money though. Couldn't they really go over the top?
They could, but I think they'd have to. I think you'd have to be. I think the Mets would have to come in so far that the Yankees would just have to wave the white flag. If it's close, I think it's going to be the Yankees.
I think it could be a Yamamoto thing where I think he gets to a number where it's like, all right, if you just match this number, I don't need any more money from the Mets. Like a Yamamoto got to a certain number, I think it was 320 or whatever it was, and Cohen was willing to go above that, but he didn't even go back to the Mets. He said, "Hey Dodgers, this is what the Mets are giving me. Can you give me this?" And I'm fine. And then he got it, and that's why he went to the Dodgers. Soto could be doing the same thing with the Yankees.
Hey, as long as he comes back in pinstripes, use me as much as you want.
Okay.
I think he's gonna. I mean, Robinson Cano, Page and Cano. I mean, there's other great Yankees who are Dominican.
Sure.
Not just Red Sox.
Well, I mean, good thing that they didn't re-up on him, but I digress.
Yeah, no, is that relationship?
Yeah, I don't know. Cano?
Well, I mean, I think he's revered.
I know that, but I'm just saying, the Yankee Robinson Cano, he left, and the Yankees didn't pay him. In fact, it's very similar to what happened with what's happening with Soto potentially.
Yeah, but I mean, this is where Cano, before he got busted for steroids, ended up making his best Hall of Fame cases with the Yankees.
For sure,
he was on the track. He's a Yankee, won a World Series with them. I don't know. Anyway, 855-212-4227. Sorry, you went with David Ortiz and Pedro Martinez, and I countered with Robinson.
Yeah, lifelong Mariner, Robbie Cano.
Met great.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, that's going to be interesting. When do you think he's signing? Today? Tomorrow?
I don't know. MLB should say, make this last. It's the only thing they got going right now. The Golden Rule and the Golden Bat Rule and Juan Soto.
Baseball said, do unto others as you would like done to you.
Basically, they've got more headlines this week than they have in 3 years, so they might as well make this last.
Juan Soto's Golden Rule, F you, pay me.
Scott Boris's Golden Rule. True. That's the real Golden Rule of baseball.
Thank you, Bogish. Lots more to do. Keep coming with your reaction to the college football playoff. Alabama in, Miami, Ole Miss, and South Carolina are out. How do you feel about that? That's a 3-loss Alabama team that gets in over a 2-loss Miami team. You can weigh in at 855-212-4227. Also, get this, guys. We all get to gather around our TV sets this holiday season and watch Aaron Rodgers do drugs. Manny's excited. I'm kind of excited, too. We'll talk about that next. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
Verbuccio wipes the bottom of his sneakers. He's guarded by Lawson. Play in action. Verbuccio gets the screen from Ratliff. Verbuccio driving.
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Yes! Clock continues to run. Panthers have one final chance. Here's Kennedy. Kennedy with 5. Step back. Yes! Oh, Josiah Kennedy! Ice cold. Timeout.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie, Perloff, you hanging out on this Wednesday. Got a great debate for you later on this morning.
I was just looking at a metric on college football that might help clarify all this controversy.
Oh, great. Because the controversy is that Alabama is in the field as of last night with 3 losses.
Yeah.
And Miami is sitting at home with 2 losses. Ole Miss and South Carolina, who you could argue are playing better than Miami, better than Alabama, although it's debatable, are also out.
So I think there is one metric that you could say the team with the most NFL talent should be in. I mean, I'm not saying that's definitely, at least it's an argument, right? So
I don't love that.
Well, why? What's wrong with that theory? Like, if you have the best players, you should be in. And the way you judge the players is how your players get drafted. That means you have the best players.
Okay. But you could also say, what about at the top? Like Cam Ward for Miami could be the number 1 overall pick. Does that equal 3 linebackers who get taken in the 6th round?
Well, no, you didn't let me finish my argument.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Based on this, the number 1 and 2 seeds should be Colorado 1, Michigan 2. Because I'm looking at every mock draft and I see a lot of Shedeur and Travis Hunter. And I'm seeing a lot of Will Johnson and Mason Graham. So let's get Michigan and Colorado. They're dominating these mock drafts. This doesn't tell you anything. I thought this would help clarify. I mean,
just erase the whiteboard.
Definitely.
And go Perloff's rules.
Yeah, Georgia and Alabama have a lot of guys. I mean, there's no denying that. But generally, it's like the NFL talent argument. You're right. The Cam Ward's high. Colorado's sitting there. And Michigan has like 4 guys because they have leftovers from the national championship team. That doesn't really help you right now. Although I do think the committee does think like that. They say, okay, well, the draft is going to be in April, and you're going to see a ton of Georgia guys and a ton of Alabama guys. We had Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl on last week. He's like, we're inviting half the Georgia roster. So there is that argument.
Yeah. Not as strong as years past, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean,
especially because
it isn't quite as strong, but it is strong. Like they're maybe more top heavy, but you forget these are big time players on some of these programs.
Well, then you could say Penn State. What about Warren, the tight end, and also Abdul Carter? I mean, these guys are probably going to get taken.
Abdul Carter, yes. Warren, is he even a pure tight end? Is he an H-back? He's like Chris Cooley.
I'll take him on
in
my
the
team.
4th round, though. You're not taking him in the 1st round.
4th round?
Fourth round. Is he better than Dalton Kincaid, who the Bills took in the 1st round?
How tall? What position is he? Maybe it's a number that gets me.
6'6".
Ty Warren?
Yes.
He's 6'6"?
He's 6'6", Perloff.
It's the 44. That's got to be the problem. There's no way. He's 6'6"?
Yeah.
It's the 44. I think 4 makes you look taller. 4's...
All right, fine. He's 1st round. I didn't realize he was 6'6".
Brad is in Oregon. Brad, what do you think about these last college football rankings?
Well, I had a quick question for you guys. A great show as always, too. But do you guys know how far in advance these college schedules are made up?
Years.
Because my question is,
true.
if you guys are doing they're saying by strength of schedule, okay, well, Florida State was supposed to be, highly ranked and everything, and everybody that had Florida State on their schedule, well, they turned out to be a bust. So you couldn't very well consider that strength of schedule. And my other question is that you guys are saying about Alabama with 3 losses. You guys go to 16 and 32 teams. Alabama's going to get in there with 4 or 5 losses.
Totally. Brad, great call both ways. You're right. Go to 16, you're going to have 4 lost teams. And also correct that the scheduling is done so far in advance that it's really hard. You could be setting up to have this great schedule, and it might not work out that way. Other part about the schedule, because the conferences, especially the SEC and the Big Ten, are so big right now, look at Indiana. They had to play Ohio State, okay, but they missed Oregon. Yep. They missed who else is good in the Big Ten?
Did you say Penn State?
And Penn State, thank you.
That's true about the scheduling, but there is some luck element to it. Sometimes you just get unlucky, and the teams that are supposed to bolster your schedule just don't work out. I'm sorry, nothing to describe it except bad luck.
Yeah. Or I'm sorry, Texas also. Texas did not play the schedule that Oklahoma did in their first season in the SEC.
And Texas had Michigan on their schedule, which they thought would be a massive, huge game that turned out to be nothing.
Yep.
But the committee loves them because they keep ranking them high, even though that's really one of their biggest wins.
Quickly, Craig's in Tennessee. Craig, we got about 30 seconds left, dude.
Okay, great point about where the good teams. Texas, if top 15 teams were only the true ranked teams, you have Texas, Penn State, Boise State, all played ranked teams, and they all lost their ranked teams. Notre Dame hasn't played a ranked team and lost. SMU the same. Hasn't played a ranked team and lost. Where are the kids? And one quick thing about how to shut up an Alabama fan is at the end of the season, you're in the bubble of, hey, I've got losses. Is there a team you'd rather be other than Alabama? And I have yet to have an Alabama fan say, yeah, I'd rather be somebody else.
Yeah. Craig, thank you for that. Tennessee, if you're a big Vols fan, they're in. Okay, so much more to unpack here. We also have a great debate for you on this Wednesday. Stick around.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Stunning revelation in the college football playoff rankings. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And, listen, second to last rankings, but there's only a little bit of movement that can happen from here on out, Pearl. But the shocking result was Alabama has found their way into the top 12 teams, even though they have 3 losses, which is a little surprising. A lot surprising.
I mean, come on. That is the least shocking thing that has ever happened in college football. It's not shocking. I mean, you might argue it's a wrong choice, but it would have been shocking if they weren't there.
Well, no, because they have 3 losses, and Miami is a team that's on the outside looking in, and they have 2 losses. And up until this point, 2 losses was better than 3 losses, and now all of a sudden that's no longer the case. As we had been going through this college football playoff and ranking after ranking, that number in the loss column meant something, and now it doesn't.
I just think that when the AP poll came out and Alabama was 2 spots higher than Miami, that was the end. Because I think you can't have Alabama at 11 in the AP poll and then knock them below them in the other poll, because Alabama fans they're scary to the committee. I think it was already done.
But
so I don't think it was
the AP poll and the college football playoff poll shouldn't have anything to do with each other, right? Aren't they? They're totally
college football,
separate.
The committee is so worried about outside opinion. I think that there's nothing separate about anything. It's all part of the mix. I think that would have been a big problem for them. Wait, the AP has them here, and we're jumping Miami over Alabama. That would have been a problem, because then my Alabama fans, who are very influential, and Alabama itself, who's very influential, could cry misjustice. And look at what they obviously. I'm saying it's not shocking because last year they favored Alabama so much. Of course they're going to favor Alabama this year. There's nothing. It feels like the least surprising outcome possible in that sense. Of course they did this.
Okay, I didn't feel it was as inevitable because I'm also watching. You can say, well, of course they did this. Of course they did this. I'm watching Boise State right now, who we love. We love you, Boise. But I'm watching Boise State, who doesn't have the resume, I would say, of Miami or Alabama or Ole Miss or South Carolina. I'm watching a team that could get a first round bye. If you're talking about, we're not talking about fairness here, right? Because I don't think anyone would think that that's necessarily correct. I don't know if people think Arizona State, that's necessarily correct to have them in. The way that this is set up, to me, they want a lot of different types of teams in this playoff. So to say, well, of course Alabama's going to get in. Listen, maybe of course they would have gotten him in a 4-team playoff, but in a 12-team, you are inviting a wide swath of college football teams.
They don't want Arizona State in there. They're only going to do that because they win the title, the conference title. So would you have been shocked? Imagine if we came in today and Alabama was out and Miami was in. Then
it would be totally normal.
It'd be chaos.
Miami has 2 losses and Alabama has 3 losses. They have not cared about strength of schedule until yesterday.
We would have 40 calls in right now. Can you imagine the outrage? It's the way it works. We all know that.
So here's something about the outrage. I don't think you would get a lot of outrage if Alabama was out, because I think people watched Alabama lose to Oklahoma in a way that was embarrassing for Alabama. And I don't think after that you can really cause a ruckus. You know what I'm saying? And maybe Miami fans can't cause a ruckus either because you lost to Syracuse. And maybe Ole Miss fans can't cause a ruckus because you just lost to Florida. And South Carolina had losses earlier this season. But I don't know. Does Alabama fans, do you really have a right to stand up and say we would have gotten screwed? You lost to Oklahoma by 3 touchdowns.
You're so okay. Just hypothetically, if Alabama on Sunday is revealed they're the 11 team in the AP poll and Miami's a 14 team and Miami jumps them in the committee poll, that would be a major, major issue. It would be one of the because Alabama is just so much bigger program than every other school. Maybe I don't even know who's second. They are Georgia, but Alabama is just such a big brand. Yeah, that would be That'd be crazy.
Well,
I
if we're
think
just
you'd have
going
a
on
major
brand-
problem on your hands.
If you're just going on brand, then make Notre Dame the number 1 seed because you could say there's
Alabama's
no bigger
definitely-
brand in the world than Notre Dame.
Alabama's bigger than Notre Dame for college football right now.
Can we put that poll up? Bigger brand.
Who do you think does more ratings? Like Alabama.
Notre Dame has their own network just dedicated to them.
You think anybody's watching Notre Dame play Virginia on a Saturday night when Alabama's on TV?
It's clearly valuable, is what I'm saying. Or
Yeah,
NBC
but,
wouldn't just be in the Notre Dame business.
Well, the thing is, Alabama's got, 6 titles this millennium when Notre Dame has none. I think Alabama has jumped them. I'm not sure that Notre Dame's in the same conversation.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
I think Georgia might be
they
higher than
are.
Notre Dame, too.
Well,
Alabama's fan base is so regional, Pearl. I disagree with that.
I
It's
think
the South.
Alabama's become the Cowboys of the sport.
So here's the other part about this is Alabama without Nick Saban. Is it the same? Does it hold the same appeal? Because they're capable of losing just like anybody else. And it's with Kalen DeBoer now, not with Nick Saban. The Nick Saban appeal, you could always say, well, we know they're going to be really well coached. We know they're going to show up to this game. Kalen DeBoer, we're not as familiar with, on a national level. Yes, he coached Washington last year, but I think a lot of people weren't, unless you're on the West Coast, diehard former Pac-12 fan. I don't know how many people.
Well, I think it's also the SEC. It's not just Alabama. It's SEC in general, and Alabama being the most famous team in that conference. Like for this year, it hasn't really played out, but generally, like the sport has been all about the SEC for the last 20 years, hasn't it? I mean, no one else really makes a dent. They had a couple Clemson years, but generally, and you had Michigan last year, but generally, it's an SEC sport.
Ohio State's won a bunch of championships.
Yeah.
A bunch.
We're just
Two this millennium, but yeah.
Okay.
If we're just going off of famous SEC brands, though, then you should put LSU and Florida in there.
But they're not Alabama with all those titles over the last several years.
They're not, but again, Nick Saban's not there anymore.
Florida, you have to go to time machine.
Well, I'm just saying, you want to talk about famous SEC teams, LSU and Florida are definitely legacy programs.
They're right, and trust me, they would love to have, especially LSU. They'd love to get them in. Florida's fallen pretty far.
Well, we'll see.
I mean, when's the last time Florida was
Spurrier also is nothing.
Yeah.
There's no history.
Okay. Well, I mean, Emmitt Smith, 855-212-4227. Okay, so Alabama gets in. Miami's out. Ole Miss is out. South Carolina's out. Do you have a problem with that? At 855-212-4227. Let's hear a little from Ward Manuel. Ward Manuel is the athletic director at Michigan. He's also the chair of the College Football Playoff Committee. He's a suit. But here's what he had to say about the decision to put Alabama into the field over Miami.
But what it really came down to is Alabama is 3-1 against current top 25 teams, and Miami is 0-1. Alabama is 6-1 against teams above 500, and Miami's 4-2.
Okay, that's maybe why you would say Alabama versus Miami. But what about Alabama versus Ole Miss? Because I think if you put the Ole Miss resume up against the Alabama resume, it's going to look just as good, if not better.
Yeah. Good luck with that one, Mag.
I'm just saying, if you're going top 25 wins,
that's a brand factor.
Ole Miss handed Georgia their worst regular season loss since 2018. Alabama barely beat Georgia. Now, they got off to a big lead, and if you turned it off at halftime, you thought Alabama smoked Georgia, but Georgia came back in that game.
I mean, that was a late afternoon, foggy madhouse of a game that happens in the SEC. It's just the way it is. You know, you go on the road in the SEC and a lot of funny things happen. I mean, same in every conference, but that atmosphere was insane.
Wait, is that a case against
No,
Ole
I'm just
Miss
saying,
or
like,
for
the
them?
fact that Ole Miss, if that game is on a neutral field, I'm not sure Ole Miss is a better team than Georgia. I think that was a great, atmosphere, home field win.
Okay, what about Georgia Tech? Why was that 8? Why was that 8 overtimes when that was at Georgia?
I think Georgia is a flawed team, too. They're all flawed. But also the brand, I mean, you can argue about Notre Dame versus Alabama. Alabama versus Ole Miss, there's no doubt. I mean, Ole Miss have they ever been in the title picture? Ever? In the history of the sport?
Okay, but this is where I think it's frustrating for people who don't just bow at the knee of Alabama because the sport is different now. There's mechanisms in place. It's called the transfer portal and it's called NIL where a team like Ole Miss, who, doesn't have the history of Alabama, can put together a better team than Alabama.
You keep saying that, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. That they are like, Alabama, I know they lost some good players, but they still have like NFL guys all over the place.
Also, Ole Miss does not have a loss that is anywhere close to Alabama losing to Oklahoma. Not even close. And you can say Kentucky. Ask Georgia about Kentucky. Kentucky was scaring people earlier in the year. So that's my whole thing. I think Alabama's loss is worse than anything that Ole Miss did.
Is it as bad as Northern Illinois and Notre Dame?
Well, that's a whole other combo.
Sometimes the other thing too is like if you look at Alabama's losses, like it's very clear what the formula was. When your quarterback drops back and he can run for 150 yards, Alabama has a problem. Like that happens. We all know this. It's a parity sport right now. Alabama lost some road games. They lost to some running quarterbacks, and they just played terrible against Oklahoma. But that was such a fluky game. You watch it the Ryan Williams touchdown, like there's so many little things that happened in that game that made the score 24-3. It wasn't like Alabama was that awful. By the time they finally woke up, like, hey, what's happening here? It was too late.
I think you're making excuses.
Can we just make the SEC football from now on? Let's just call it the PFS or preseason football, PSF, preseason football. Okay. That's what it is. Because it doesn't. So when you go to Oklahoma or Vanderbilt and you no-show, it's okay. It's an exhibition game. We're just working the kinks out, and we didn't know what was going on. It was raining. There was sun in my eye.
Nighttime, daytime.
That's fine. Every other school, when you play in the ACC or the Big 12, that's real football. That's a regular season. If you're Alabama, you play in the SEC, games don't matter. Preseason, win a couple of these games, you got a spot. It's all good because it doesn't matter. You can.
Well, let me ask this question.
You
EJ,
can do whatever you want. It's ridiculous to me.
Would Miami be bowl eligible if they were in the SEC? Are we talking 500?
Miami smoked Florida. Miami would have destroyed Oklahoma. Are you kidding me? A team that can't throw the football, Miami's offense, they would have killed Oklahoma.
Okay,
they would have killed
Oklahoma
Vanderbilt.
Killed Tulane.
So here's the thing, though,
or
about
Tulsa,
it.
or one of those good schools.
Here's the thing, though. The committee has also said, and again, is their word worth the paper it's printed on? Maybe not. But they've said you can't help but who you play.
Yeah, Ward Manuel said that himself.
Right. So, and I think they use this for, they're going to use that logic for a variety of reasons. Like, hey, we shouldn't be poking holes in Texas's resume or Penn State's resume or whatever because you can only play who you can play. But yet when it comes to not the Big Ten or the SEC, that doesn't matter.
And this ranked win stuff is bogus. It's BS because they decide who is ranked. Texas has 4 ranked wins. 3 of them are against Michigan, they're against OU, and they're against Vanderbilt. 3 teams who suck. Teams that are not close to being ranked.
Yeah.
But Texas has held this number 3 or number 2 status, at one point number 1, because of these wins that actually didn't mean anything. When you talk about Miami's schedule, Duke is not ranked because the College Football Committee says that they're not ranked. They're the only 9-win team in the Power 4 that is not ranked.
You go to Duke.
Louisville's only losses. You keep saying that, but then
Duke. It's Duke football. It's Daniel Jones' school.
Alabama lost to Vanderbilt. You can't do that. You can't say, "Well, Alabama can lose to Vanderbilt. We can beat Duke by 3 touchdowns, and it's the same." It's not.
I also think you got again with this new era. You got to just see the talent on the field. It can't just be about reputation anymore. Isn't that the point? Isn't that what we like?
Duke's
the parity.
Quarterback played at Texas. He won games at Texas last year. I mean, what are we talking about?
It's just different, I think. I do, because I think the talent is a lot more spread out. And that's a good thing, in theory, because there used to just be 5-star after 5-star stacked at Alabama and Georgia, and now it's a little more spread out.
But if you're Georgia or Alabama, it doesn't matter. You can go out there, you're playing against Georgia Tech, who has no NFL players, and you could win by the skin of your teeth, be down by multiple touchdowns, have a targeting play. You want to talk about questionable calls? How about targeting on a fumble that should have actually probably given Georgia Tech the ball back? Every one of these teams, I can go through their games and say, what about this call? What about that play? What about this fluky play? But the SEC, if you're a power team, it doesn't matter. Now, if you're Ole Miss and South Carolina, we're going to put holes in your schedule. But you're Alabama, you're Georgia, you're Texas. It's preseason football. Go out there, beat up on these bad teams. Okay, you lose to a couple bad teams, it's fine. We're just going to assume that your best wins are great. If you beat each other, even better. That's going to even boost your schedule even more, boost your strength of schedule even more. It's nonsense. It's all bogus.
I think that it's funny because I don't hear a lot of crowing from Alabama fans either,
What do you mean?
Like, I don't see a lot of, at least in my little bubble, I don't see a lot of Alabama fans being like, ha-ha, told you. Like, we should have been in. We absolutely should be in. I think they realize that they're kind of getting in off of having a better reputation right now, a bigger brand, if you will, than South Carolina and Ole Miss.
Well, first of all, they have to have Clemson lose to SMU. Otherwise, SMU will get in and knock Alabama out probably, unless SMU loses by like 3 touchdowns. So they're not in. In fact, listen, SMU's not really playing for anything necessarily. They're playing for a bye. So they could easily lose that game to Clemson, then Alabama's out anyway, and this whole conversation is moot. I don't think Alabama's scared of those 2 other schools. I think it's the Miami debate. I think it's an Alabama-Miami. But again, you said the players on the field. Obviously, Alabama's got like massive stars. Like they got Milroe.
So does Miami now because Cam Ward is going to be in New York for the Heisman.
Yeah.
Xavier Restrepo has the most yards ever as a receiver at Miami. Our tight end is probably going to be a first-round pick in Elijah Arroyo either this year or next year.
But you have Ryan Williams. You have you definitely are loaded with pros on Alabama. You have Caden Proctor. I mean, he's probably going to be a top 10 pick.
But then why do you lose to Vanderbilt? Then why did you lose to
Oklahoma? Vanderbilt, because also too, Alabama goes into these places, they have such a target on their back, and you're getting like 100
The Vanderbilt game
on their back.
Vanderbilt's a good team, by the way. Diego Pavia played great in that game.
No, but they're also finished the season 6-6.
But but come on, you eyeballed Vanderbilt like they were a tough team.
Then why is Miami losing to Georgia Tech, and why is that a bad loss? Because we eyeballed Georgia Tech. They went against this great almighty SEC, went to Georgia, were up multiple scores. Again, I could say a targeting is the only reason why they won that game. Took 8 overtimes. How come Miami's losses against teams that pass the eye test don't count? But Alabama's losses against teams that have worse records, those do count.
Georgia Tech, but because we know Georgia Tech's offense was pretty bad this year, right?
What do you mean? Miami is the best offense in college football, and you're dismissing them. I don't want to, I just feel
Georgia Tech's not a good team. I mean, they did not have a really good year.
Okay, but again, they beat Miami, and they took Georgia to the brink.
Right. But generally, though, they had...
So that's two flukes?
Why does Vanderbilt have a good year?
Also, they smoked... I know FSU ended up having a terrible year. Remember how they started the season in Ireland? They just absolutely destroyed Florida State. I mean... 855-212-4227. FSU ended up being terrible this year, but still. Okay, so you're welcome to weigh in here. Miami versus Alabama. I also think for South Carolina, I know we're on in South Carolina. How you guys feeling about this? The Ole Miss fans, the Lane Kiffin fans, how you guys feeling about this?
You know what Georgia Tech's biggest indictment? They beat Miami 28-23. Who scores 28 against that Miami defense? That is terrible. That's their big indictment. I mean, come on. Are you even awake?
855-212-4227. Okay, so we've got a lot to do there. We also have, of all the crazy things that Aaron Rodgers has done lately, this one might be the wildest. Think about what I'm saying. This upcoming thing that Rodgers is about to do, this might be the craziest thing, his craziest idea he's ever had. We'll tell you about it next. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. A lot of college football debate. Everyone is mad, kind of by design, which is good. Again, 12 teams did not ruin the debate. We were afraid if you went from 4 to 12, there'd be no arguments at the end of the year. Obviously, that's not true. In fact, I'm going to 16, and then we'll get all mad because somebody got left out at 17. It's the best thing. And it's going to be such a fun playoff, too. College football probably should have done this years ago because they're going to make so much money off the whole thing anyway.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I do think people who are upset that Alabama as a 3-loss team got in over Miami as a 2-loss team, or even the fact that Alabama got the nod over Ole Miss or South Carolina, you can still say this is fun, but for some fan bases out there, this feels like you got hosed. You feel like you kind of got the whole screw job here. So, yeah, you're going to watch. We're all going to tune in. It's going to be fun to watch Alabama go to South Bend, or whether it's going to be what are the other first-round matchups here? It's going to be
Tennessee, Ohio State.
Yeah, Tennessee, Ohio State is going to be fun, although is Ohio State really a good team?
Yeah, I mean, is anybody a good team?
Yeah.
By the way, you play Alabama, you're going to face it. They're just going to sell out Jalen Milroe running on every play. So it's going to be a different Alabama team. Like
But
you
the
know,
Notre Dame defense is good. That's what it would be. If the playoffs started today, it'd be Tennessee at Ohio State.
Yeah.
It would be Penn State hosting Arizona State, Alabama going to Notre Dame, and Georgia hosting Indiana.
right? It's unlikely that, except for that middle one, the Tennessee Ohio State. I don't think any of these can really hold these matchups. It's very unlikely after college football weekend. But I'm just saying, like you will see the best version of all these teams, and the quarterbacks are going to run, kind of like the NFL playoffs. So I don't know that anybody wants to face Alabama. Their resume may not be great, but I wouldn't want to play them.
You know, one other thing that no one's talking about. So the SEC championship game, Texas is playing Georgia. If Georgia wins, they just flip.
Yeah, by rule, right?
By rule, because then Texas would have 2 losses to Georgia. So then Georgia might get the first round bye. I think they would, right?
No, they by rule flip the highest champion.
Right, and then how far would Texas fall?
But
no one's really talking about that.
They would take, so it'd be a Notre Dame Texas argument, right, for 5. But then again, the committee said we're not going to really penalize you for losing a conference title game because you earned your way into that.
No. I think 5 is going to be the loser of the Big Ten title game. I think that could end up being, it might be Texas, it might be Penn State. This committee loves these 2 teams.
No. Texas would be ahead of Penn State because they're ahead of them now.
Okay.
Yeah, they've definitely, if Texas lost to Georgia and Penn State lost to Oregon, they're not jumping Penn State over Texas. Now, the question is, who's higher, Notre Dame, Texas, or Penn State?
Good luck. Let's go to
that's tough.
Gabe's in California. Gabe, what's your issue with the committee's rankings?
No issue at all. I think it's warranted. I mean, if you've been really watching Miami, and I think we kind of forget that they were bailed out multiple times by the ACC. We got to recall the Virginia Tech game where it should have been an incomplete pass.
Sure.
And then the following week they got bailed out again against Cal.
Yeah.
With that game-winning throw when the officials completely missed the ineligible man downfield. And on top of that, they lost against a Syracuse team that lost against the likes of Stanford. So
right.
It kind of does really show their wars. I think we got excited at the moment because we live off of nostalgia and we want to see the Hurricanes come back, but it is what it is.
Gabe, I've heard this a lot. You're not the first person to bring it up. It's a good point, but they brought it up last night on the show as well. I don't understand how Miami's close wins earlier this season have anything to do with them being left out now. And the reason why I say that is because after those close wins, when we were up in arms about the Virginia Tech call, at least I was, and what happened at Cal, the committee kept rewarding Miami. They never dropped them. They never said, wow, well, that you got bailed out by the ACC ref, so we're going to put you further down in the rankings. That never happened in the moment. So it feels like to revisionist history now to say, wow, and by the way, gosh, remember when they got bailed out back on October 5th against Cal? Just seems disingenuous.
But you're obviously not surprised, right? Because
that people are bringing it up?
No, the committee is completely inconsistent because they've always been inconsistent. And there's never been a year where something they said the week before the final ranking made the slightest bit of difference. They always just decide at the end. I mean, since 2014, when Ohio State jumped TCU and Baylor, like they just at the end, they're like, all right, we want you, you're better TV. It's always been that way.
At least those teams all had the same number of losses
but
at that year. Alabama now has more losses than Miami. That year you're talking about that Ohio State and TCU and Baylor. Didn't everyone have 2 losses? And they've said, screw it, we're going to put Ohio State in. Or 1 loss? 1 loss. Thank you, Boge. This time it's different in the loss column. Miami is 2, Alabama is 3.
But you can't point to a year where they've ever been consistent. It's never happened.
Right, but the year you're talking about doesn't hold water because everyone was tied in the loss column that year. That's not the same as this year.
Well, no, but you were saying Miami wasn't falling because of the close wins, right? That doesn't mean anything. That's never meant anything. Like they've never said, well, Miami's here this week and we're going to be consistent about this. That's just not how they operate.
But don't you think it's weird to bring it up now? Like as a knock against Miami to bring up things that happened in early October.
I mean, it's definitely weird, but they've never said, well, we said this last week. We have to stick with that. This is not how they operate.
Let's go to Joseph, who's in New Jersey. We have a poll question out there. who is the bigger college football brand? Which is the bigger college football brand, Notre Dame or Alabama? Joseph, what do you think?
I was listening to you guys, Maggie. I don't even think it's close. It's definitely Notre Dame.
I think so, too. Perloff thinks it's Bama.
Yeah, but you're in New Jersey, dude. Of course, that's Notre Dame country.
Well, I'm going to give you. I'm in the ticket resale business for 35 years. What's your name, the guy that's talking with me?
Hang up on this guy.
Okay. No,
You can't be a smart aleck like that. I wanted the info, though, but no, you got to be respectful, of course.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're in the Northeast. We think Notre Dame's a big deal. It is. It's obviously a huge deal. But I think Alabama's like, honestly, they're the Dallas Cowboys of this sport. Like, why do you think they're in this playoff? There's no other reason. I mean, they just lost to Oklahoma.
But we're asking just Alabama versus Notre Dame.
I still think. I mean, I'm sure if we had like the Fox TV guy on, he could help us with this. Like, I'm sure Alabama has a number 1 rated game every year.
I just think Notre Dame's got something where they've got also, like, there's a religious aspect and element to this where I think people identify with Notre Dame because of that. And they're not the only religious affiliated school out there, obviously, but I think that's a big part of it as well.
Right, but when's the last time they won a title?
Well, it's been forever.
And
what does it matter? They still have their own television network.
Hasn't stopped them from losing anything that they've had.
Yeah, like I don't think
NBC
it matters.
Didn't say, hey, you haven't won a championship. Let's get Alabama in here and let's get them out of here. That hasn't happened.
Do you think so you guys think at the end of the day, if it came Notre Dame and Alabama were really close, they'd jump Notre Dame over Alabama?
No, we're just talking about the bigger brand. Like, I think
right. Because the committee was like deciding on brand like they did this year.
I'll tell you this. I bet you Alabama's most highly rated national championship game might have been the game against Notre Dame.
Probably true.
For the first 5 minutes.
Right.
And then the game was a total blowout.
Yeah, that was
definitely probably the most hyped game of the national championship games they played.
Yeah, I mean, but you had Manti Te'o and his fake girlfriend. That was a lot going on.
We didn't know the girlfriend was fake till after the game, to be fair. We thought she was real at that point. Okay, you can go vote at Maggie and Pearl on X. Bogus is here with headlines. What's up, dude?
Good morning again. These headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. The order might change, but barring Clemson winning the ACC title game or UNLV stealing the Mountain West spot, we may have our teams for the initial 12-team CFP bracket. As you've been hearing all morning, 3-loss Alabama is in, Miami and Ole Miss are not, and selection committee chair Ward Manuel said on ESPN last night that can't change.
There's nothing that's going to change for us to evaluate them any differently than we have now. Those teams who are not playing cannot be adjusted in terms of where they are compared to other teams that are not playing.
Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State have first-round byes for now. The opening weekend would have Penn State hosting Arizona State, Tennessee at Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama in South Bend, and Georgia hosting Indiana.
Can I ask a question about that? Isn't that short-sighted to not consider the total package of your strength of schedule by waiting until the end of the year? Like, should they, and if it was a perfect world, would they not even put out these rankings so they saw the whole picture? Is that a little unfair?
It's very unfair. Because Alabama's banking on this Georgia win as their biggest win. Well, what if Georgia loses to Texas? And now they split with Texas. Is that win so great?
Yeah, I also think they're going to have to relook at the format here. Because I think if you're saying who's the best college football team in the country, that's what we're trying to figure out. To give Boise State, who we love you, Boise, but to give them a first-round bye just doesn't – it feels like an unfair advantage for Boise. Have they really earned it more than another team?
But that's the Big 12's fault.
Maybe, or it's just the idea of strength of schedule matters sometimes, doesn't matter other times. They're not consistent about that.
Except that Boise played the top team in the country so tight. I mean, that it is interesting that you say that, and that does make sense, but it was 37-34 against the runaway number 1 team, which makes it like an interesting case. Like, I don't think...
Well, then Ohio State should be too.
I'm not sure Alabama could stay that close to Oregon right now, and they just made it.
I guess, and to me, again, it just seems imperfect. Because I'll defend the Big 12 here too, Bogus. Like, okay, if that's the case, then why is the Big 12 have 4 ranked teams, and why is only 2 in the Mountain West? Like, if we think that the Mountain West is so good, and that Boise, and I love Boise too. I love the blue turf. I love everything about them. But if we think they're so great, all right, then rank some of these other Mountain West teams higher. You should be giving them more respect. How can we say the Big 12 has 4 ranked teams?
Yeah.
These teams have all beat up on each other. We respect them in that regard. But when it comes to actually ranking them, Boise, because they lost a game, that's their best win, basically. It doesn't that to me doesn't add up either.
Well, because it's a Big 2 power conferences. It's not a Big 4, and we realize that because the ACC and the Big 12 will likely only get one team into this.
Yeah, but it's also possible that the Big 12, I mean, it's reality. The Big 12 is a better league than the Mountain West, but that doesn't mean Boise State's not the best team of the two leagues.
But then again, it goes back to the strength of schedule, though. The committee is saying that there are good teams in the Big 12, and there are not good teams in the Mountain West. So now we're going on an arbitrary. Well, I think Boise's better because they have Ashton Jantty. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I think if you're the Big 12, you're like, what? How can you give us respect by saying we have 4 ranked teams, but then say a team that only has one other ranked team in their conference, they're better than us, even though they've lost to the only other good team they played? It doesn't that doesn't hold weight.
It doesn't, except when you mixed in the teams that lost to Kansas for fun the last couple of weeks. Like that's part. Again, the Big 12 messed this up. They didn't have to have a bunch of 2 or 3 lost teams. Somebody could have, Dion and Colorado. They would sit in number 4 easy.
Oh man!
But they lost too many games. Like that's their fault.
Such a bummer we don't get Colorado in. Love or hate Dion, it would have been a little bit more fun. What else we got?
We've got the Knicks winning the only title they'll win this season, Group A in the NBA Cup. That only gets them into the quarterfinals. It's a glorious event, but Josh Hart is already spending his prize money.
I just care about me, what I'm gonna spend. I mean, I'm just keeping it 100. I want a new watch, so I might get that.
The Knicks clinching.
He can afford that anyway. He doesn't need the check from the play-in game.
Put it on the NBA's dime.
That's not the weirdest thing I've heard about someone spending money on something, by the way.
They win the vaunted Group A in the East with a 121-106 home win over the Magic. Orlando moving on as well as the East wild card. The Bucks earned the top spot on this side of the bracket with their 7th straight win overall, 128-107 in Detroit. The Warriors lost their 5th in a row, 119-115 in Denver, but do advance to this Elite Eight, along with the Thunder, Rockets, and Mavs out west. Now, outside the Cup, the Cavaliers sent the Wizards to their 15th straight loss, 118-87 in Cleveland, and the Sixers won in Charlotte, 110-104. Philly winning back-to-back games for the first time this season.
All right, Pearl.
There you go. Men's number 3, Tennessee.
Paul George's knee didn't explode. Amazing. It's great.
Tennessee thumping Syracuse 96-70. Villanova took down 14th-ranked Cincinnati 68-60. 31 points in that one from Eric Dixon. Juan Soto has begun removing teams from his list of potential landing spots. All that remain have reportedly offered him deals over $600 million. It's possible Soto picks his new team before the winter meetings begin on Sunday. Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert is reportedly week to week with a knee injury from Sunday's win in Baltimore. This is apparently not season ending, but Goddard could still go on IR. And we had overtime all over the NHL last night, including our Sharks.
Granlund sets up Celebrini, moving in. Behind the back pass goes to Eklund. Eklund shot, score! William Eklund!
Dan Rusanowski, Sharks Radio. William Eklund getting them a 2-1 win in Washington. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. I mentioned about people spending money. Josh Hart wants to buy a new watch if they make the NBA Cup, or with that money, even though he could just afford probably a million watches. Did you guys see AFC North Hard Knocks debut last night?
I didn't see it, but I know where you're going.
So I did watch it, and it jumped out immediately as he said it. So they're following all the AFC North teams, and Joe Burrow is on a practice field talking to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and he tells them he bought the Batmobile.
What?
Yeah. There's 10 Batmobiles that were for sale, the Christopher Nolan edition. They're street legal, $3 million. And he said he paid for it, but he doesn't get it for another year. So you're buying it on spec. But $3 million for the Batmobile. If you have the money, yes or no?
I mean, are you serious, Maggie?
Yeah.
You know who you're talking to here?
The Dark Knight himself?
Yeah, the guy who ranks all the Robins every couple weeks on this show.
Where would you park it, though?
Dick Grayson, number 1, by the way.
Where would you park it?
Ranks the Robins.
Hey, we got a driveway in my apartment building.
Whoa.
Yeah, we do.
That's money, dude.
I know. We got lucky.
But if you can park the Batmobile
Well,
on
where are
the
you going to
street.
put your other car?
That's that.
Which one would you put on the street, the Batmobile or the Nissan? I don't know.
The Honda Accord's going on the street.
I'm gonna just. Can I just point out something? The unreal irony of this, EJ. Not to air your business. EJ can't drive.
I
You'd
learned
have
that
to get a
recently.
license if you got the Batmobile.
Yeah, look, you want an incentive? That's the incentive right there.
EJ, this is, I was told this, I think, in confidence recently, and I was flabbergasted. I don't understand how you've gotten this far without a license. I'm also mad that I didn't know this. I know your middle name, that's secret, but I didn't know this one.
Yeah,
It's not really a secret.
Secret to some, not others.
But you don't keep it a secret.
No,
Right.
just people can't guess it correctly.
You by
No,
the way,
I meant the license part.
Oh, the license? Yeah, that was the middle name.
you told me your middle name, by the way, the other day, and I already forgot. But go ahead.
I think I forgot my correct guess.
Do you know
too.
what it is?
I do.
It's not.
I did.
It's not surprising. It's like, oh
my gosh.
Is this the sleep deprivation? Like how?
No. It's just like because it's actually a very common name. It's nothing exciting about his middle name at all, and we thought it was some.
Well, we thought it was just Josephat. Right? That's what the chat thought it was.
The chat's favorite guess.
Yeah. So EJ, if you do buy the Batmobile, you would have to get a license.
I
Imagine doing
imagine
a road test with the Batmobile.
It's probably stick, right?
That's why I would get the Batmobile, just to do the road test with the tumbler. Are you kidding me?
Is that automatic? Do you happen to know?
I don't think it is.
I mean,
It's hard to parallel park the Batmobile. Everyone knows that. Those rear wings are.
You think it has a backup camera?
I hope so.
Better.
I think it'd have to be automatic because I think Batman needs his hands free to be like fighting
yeah.
evil. You can't just be
Good
like
point.
downshifting.
No, one thing's for sure. I would never have to deal with any road rage from these clowns driving around in New York City. Nobody would be honking at me.
You
Trying
crazy?
To get out the
You think
way.
anyone in New York City cares about the Batmobile? They would all honk at
The
you.
tumbler? Are you kidding me? Have you seen that thing? It's a tank. The Nolan movies? Nobody wants to smoke with me in that.
Isn't a tumbler a Yeti type of cup?
So we drink our coffee out of. This is this Batmobile very different from the Michael Keaton one. That one was way slicker.
Oh, okay. So this is like the high end, like it's like a tank. It's not like the
Nolan
classic one from the TV show.
And that's the one I would want.
That's
the
the one
West
that I thought you were talking about. Actually,
the convertible.
That's where Burrow screwed up. He should have gotten the Burton movie Batmobile.
I don't think that's available.
You're still
though.
wrong.
Rookie mistake, Joe.
No, the TV show one with the pow, bam on the screen, Adam West, the like two cockpit one, that's the Batmobile I want.
That's too goofy looking.
You think that one even runs these days?
I
You have to like get it out of mothball.
feel like I've seen versions of that out on the street. Like that one exists out there in the world. The
It
Batmobile.
has to, right?
Yeah. You could probably get that.
Get the I'm Joe. You got the long thing in the front. You got the flames coming out of the back. Like that's the
cool.
jam.
That
Right.
you could kill
What are
somebody.
those
Especially in
fancy,
New York. There'd be people behind you in a crosswalk and you just turn on the flames. You'd barbecue somebody.
What are those
Terrible.
Tesla trucks called?
Cybertrucks?
Yeah. So basically, he basically bought a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Gonna call it ugliest car ever created.
It's the worst.
I hate being poor, though.
We have a lot of Cybertrucks.
Not anymore. You're full time, baby.
Yeah, Manny. Get that Batmobile.
Couple of months and there you go.
We have a lot of Cybertrucks in our neighborhood. I have no idea why. And tourists always stop and take pictures by the Cybertruck as if it's a Batmobile. Like they'll be like, there's a Cybertruck parked there, and people stop and take a picture.
I took a selfie next to a Cybertruck the other day.
Yeah,
and
it's like
someone in the street thought I was a crazy person. Thought I was taking a picture of them, and I'm like, no, it's just a Cybertruck in the back.
Again, the irony. The fact you couldn't drive this thing.
No.
You can admire it. You just can't drive it. All right, we got to take a break. Maybe poll question. You have $3 million lying around. You buying the Batmobile? Good conversation starter. But, probably something you'll regret down the road, right? 855-212-4227. We got to get to Aaron Rodgers. This is the worst idea he's ever had. We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
In the Gotham streets, the night is still, but Batman's got a new type of thrill. He's hosting sports talk on the radio waves, breaking down the game, making bold hot takes. But where's my border? The signal's a flop. Peter Bellani didn't show up on the clock. Oh, Peter, where are you? The bat signal's on. absence, man, it's weak. Gotham's villains, I can handle no sweat, but no board up. That's my biggest threat. I'm talking touchdowns, slam dunks, and more. But the Pete's ghosting me right out the door. Oh, Peter, where are you? The bat phone's dead. I need your help before I lose my head. The Joker's laughing, but this ain't a joke. Bloody, come on, don't leave me in smoke. Alfred's trying to fix the feed, but even he knows I'm in need of my trusty board op, but he's a no-show. Guess Batman's running this thing solo. Peter, where are you? The sports world's on fire. Gotham needs me, but this is dire. The Cape Crusader can't do it all. Without Bellotti, this show's bound to fall. In the Gotham streets, the night is still, but Batman's got a new type of thrill. He's hosting sports talk on the radio waves, breaking down the game, making bold hot takes. But where's my board up? The signals are Uncle Greg's got a problem, his Niners can't defend. They're letting every team score, never seems to end. From the Bay to the city, San Francisco's looking rough. But the real question is, what's Peter Bellotti? It's tough. Oh, Uncle Greg's teams are all out of luck, but Peter Bellotti, he's nowhere, what the heck? Forget the defeat, fans, forget the end zone, cause finding Bellotti's like finding the unknown. The Warriors ain't winning, the Giants fall apart. The Niners can't tackle, it's breaking Greg's heart. But while they miss tackles and while they drop throws, where in the world Peter Bellotti goes, nobody knows. Oh, Uncle Greg's teams are all out of luck, but Peter Bellotti, he's nowhere, what the heck? Forget the defeat, fans, forget the O-line. Peter Bellotti's the next and for all the time. Is he hiding in the locker room taking a nap? Is he off with Aaron Rodgers talking pyramid maps? Uncle Greg says his teams are the ones to blame, but Peter Bellotti's the real mystery game. Oh, Uncle Greg's teams are all out of luck, but Peter Bellotti, he's nowhere, what the heck? Forget the playbook, forget the end zone, cause finding Bellotti's like finding the unknown.
15 seconds.
Yes, Peter Bellotti, he's out of town.
Break in 5 seconds.
So while the Niners crumble and Greg's feeling bad, the bigger mystery's the one that's making us sad. Peter Bellotti, if you're out there somewhere, come back, buddy, we need you on air.
Batman theme for you on a Wednesday. Joe Burrow on AFC North Hard Knocks last night said that he bought a version of the Batmobile. It's Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale version, Pearl. $3 million, and it's street legal. Hasn't gotten it yet. Doesn't get it for like a year, but it's paid in full.
It's going to have time to think about that in January when the Bengals, my Super Bowl pick, is sitting home.
He's going to be looking at a picture of it because I don't think it's going to be ready. Let's get to Aaron Rodgers.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Well, the trailer dropped for his new Netflix documentary, Pearl. I know you've been waiting, bated breath for this thing.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I didn't even know about it till yesterday.
Really? Okay.
Was everyone aware there was an Aaron Rodgers doc? Oh, you knew all along?
I think that we knew there was something in the works, but it's going to be a little bit later on in December where the first episodes are going to drop. Here's a bit of the trailer that we got yesterday.
What does the future hold for Aaron Rodgers?
I'm coming back to do it all. What's the risk of playing? That's not normal. People getting to see behind the curtain.
Have you thought about going into politics?
Once I started my spiritual journey, everything shifted. The metamorphosis is happening. Don't be a freaking weirdo.
That's Manny's editorializing at the end there. So, as the trailer says, Pearl, we get Rodgers rehabbing the Achilles tear.
Pass.
Being courted by RFK Jr.
Pass.
And traveling to Costa Rica. And as the trailer implies, I think we're going to get to watch him take an ayahuasca trip.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
That's a big llama.
I mean, gather around all. Let's celebrate the holidays and watch Aaron Rodgers trip his you-know-what off.
It's kind of curious timing.
Face.
So December 15th or 17th, right? So presumably when they scheduled this, they thought the Jets would be in the playoff hunt. It's kind of the middle of the season. It's a weird time. So we're going to watch the Jets be 4-10 and the Aaron Rodgers, like a documentary on a guy on a 4-10 team. It's just kind of unusual timing.
I mean, call it what it really is. This is one of the biggest look-at-me moves imaginable from a guy who has now, at the end of his career, made his reputation now is more about the off-the-field stuff than it is the on-the-field. I mean, think about it. You're right. Imagine, in this perfect world, they're actually in the playoff hunt.
Right. I assume
Could there be anything? This is so step out of line, distraction, make it all about me. This is all the things we were told football players try to stay away from in the middle of the season.
Well, I'm not assuming he didn't schedule when the release was.
Well, he's doing it, so you kind of now are at the mercy of the Hollywood people.
That's true, but everybody's. I mean, is there anyone who's not being followed by a Netflix camera right now?
Sure, but I get that, and I understand sometimes to try to sell the sport like Formula One and tennis,
or like when Brittany Mahomes forced Patrick to do it last year.
But to be fair, that came out in the offseason. They did not. That's
what I think is kind of interesting about this. This should be. It was just supposed to be like, hey, we're making a playoff push, and here's a documentary. But because right now, Aaron Rodgers feels kind of sad because the season's gone so bad.
Well, that's true. But I'll be fair to Mahomes. If it was just a documentary about Mahomes, I don't know if he would have done it. He signed on to do a thing that's Mariota and Mahomes and Kirk Cousins. It was a lot of guys.
Well, there was three guys, but yeah.
But this is for Rodgers. This is just about him. This is his journey, as far as we can tell from the trailer. Maybe it's a lot about Breece Hall, but I doubt it. I think this is about Rodgers and his thing. I just can't believe, and I know Rodgers has pushed the envelope on this, and he's very much about this plant-based medicine, ayahuasca, and he's very much a believer. I just think if he really shows us himself on some kind of psychedelic trip, that is pushing the envelope in a way we've rarely seen from an athlete outside of what? Did Ricky Williams even do this? I don't think so.
Had a couple really interesting nights on the medicine.
That's a putting yourself out there. You're very, I would imagine, pretty vulnerable when you're hallucinating on a powerful psychedelic plant. Anyone?
I mean, I'm sure he told them once I'm on it, cameras off. But it just shows you how phony he is.
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to show him.
Show him totally tripping out for however long it takes. I don't think that.
Crying. Have you guys ever read what you do on an ayahuasca trip? You take this tea and then you vomit for hours.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it in a movie.
Oh, really?
Well, Ben Stiller does ayahuasca in that movie. It's pretty funny. But that being said, I think they're going to show it. But I wonder, I think this was all planned with the Jets being better. Them being bad, it feels like it's kind of landing with a thud. It's a very unusual dynamic.
It also, I guess if you really are trying to spread the gospel about this ayahuasca, you really think it's going to help people, then maybe it's fine, but it also feels a little exploitive. I don't know.
It's going to be hard to cancel me.
They've also done a lot on him in ayahuasca. I want to see him in the darkness retreat Like, what if he's
That's
sitting
boring.
there? No, what if it's in the middle of the ayahuasca darkness retreat and all of a sudden this bright light comes on because they're filming? Guys, I'm in the middle of a darkness retreat. You can't put the light on.
Shut that camera off.
Because you're right. You can't really film him sitting there in the dark.
It'd be the most boring movie of all time. It's like, oh, he's going to the bathroom now.
Right, that's a giraffe birth.
Oh, my God. I don't even know what to say after that.
Maggie and Perloff, they're feeling the sting. Belichick's gone, it's a whole new thing. Andrew Perloff's confused. What's the prostate do? He's mixing up Grey's Anatomy with 50 Shades. It's true. It's shocking how he wonders if women have one too. This basic health stuff shouldn't be so new. It's not some wild scene from a crazy book. Just learn the facts, give a proper look. Prostate's not a 50 Shades or Grey's Anatomy. Come on, Perloff, this is real biology. But I don't care what glorious black says. No, I'm here to keep the Bellani no show. Peter never shows up, and that's the real news. Forget Perloff's lessons, I got work blues. He's quoting Meredith Grey, thinking he's so wise. But Bellani's absence is the real surprise. Forget the prostate chat, I'm tired of the fluff. Peter's out again and that's enough. It's not a scene from 50 Shades or any book. Just learn the facts with a better look. Prostate's the real, but I gotta say Bellani's gone and that's my focus today. But I don't care what glorious black says. No, I'm here to keep the Bellani no show. Peter never shows up and that's the real news. Forget Perloff's lessons, I got work blues. I'll never stop, no, I'll never be done talking about Peter Bellani, the missing one. Day after day, his chair's empty and cold, but I'll keep singing cause the truth's been told. Oh, glorious, you say I've lost my way, but I don't care, I'll talk about Peter all day. You think it's a problem, well maybe that's true, but I'll never quit, got stuck like glue. I say I've lost my way, but I don't care, I'll talk about Peter all day. You think it's a problem, well maybe that's true, but I'll never quit, yeah, I'm stuck like glue. No, Andrew Perloff says $1 million baby, nah. A movie about boxing, I'll just pass, move along. But guess what, folks? He's never even seen it. He just heard it was sad, so he's already beaten it. Oh, Perloff's got opinions, oh yes he does. Doesn't need to watch to join the buzz. Meanwhile there's DJ trying to flex, but his Marvel facts, oh they're a wreck. EJ says Iron Man's from Krypton, yeah it's true. That's Superman. EJ, what you trying to do? He swears Black Panther's from Gotham City, but oh that logic's looking kinda gritty. Perloff hates a movie he's never seen. And EJ's Marvel takes our barely lead.
$15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Did the committee get it all the way right or all the way wrong? Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. By the committee, sounds like the deep state.
All the way right or all the way wrong? Is that your two choices?
There's only two choices. Everything's black and white. The College Football Playoff Committee, second to last rankings of the year, and they decided to put a 3-loss Alabama team in over a 2-loss Miami team. Now people like EJ are upset. I think Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss is going to be upset by this. Shane Beamer in South Carolina is going to be upset by this. And I just don't know if Alabama's earned it this year to get the benefit of the doubt and to get the benefit of the brand, because they have this terrible loss sitting out there. It wasn't long ago. They get smoked by Oklahoma. And I think, to me, that put me out on Alabama for the season.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but can't you do that for every team? I mean, Miami just gave up 44 points to Syracuse. You could
Syracuse is a 9-win team now.
Come on.
They are, bro.
They stink. And you could go through a lot. I generally, listen, we know Alabama is a good team. They probably watch the tape, and they know Alabama can beat any of these teams. And they probably know Ole Miss and South Carolina can too. Miami, that's another. I mean, they all have equal cases, but I think Alabama's is probably just a little bit stronger. I just think they're probably just a slightly better team because Miami has these crazy close wins and their defense is terrible. Unless we're just not going to count defense, which is a good argument. I would want to see Miami in this. Like if I could choose to see Cam Ward in Miami would be amazing. But you have to admit, like from top to bottom, their team has not performed well consistently.
Yeah,
because of defense.
Neither is Alabama, and neither is Georgia. Now, Georgia's in because they're going to be playing in the SEC championship game, but there's been no more Jekyll and Hyde teams in the country that, big-time teams, than Alabama and Georgia. Alabama, you never know who's showing up. Jalen Milroe has been an adventure to the point where I've been saying I think he should go back to college and not even go to the pros this year, which would have been unfathomable last year when he's playing against Michigan in the college football playoff semifinal. And I just think that, listen, it's one team that has 2 losses and one team that has 3 losses. And up until yesterday, that appeared to matter. And it all of a sudden doesn't. So I just find it fascinating that even now, Alabama, without Nick Saban, don't get the Saban glow anymore. And they're still getting this benefit of the doubt push.
I still think they have some Saban aftermath glow. And Kalen DeBoer obviously was a good coach last year too. Again, I think you could honestly draw straws with Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Alabama. They're all pretty much the same. Now, I think the biggest argument is Miami, and also too, it's disappointing that we don't get to see Miami again. There's no more fun game than a Miami Hurricane game.
Never know. Are they going to go? Well, we generally know how it goes. They go up by 21, and then they let their opponent back in, and then they somehow win, except in Syracuse, where they lost that game. But I think it was a boneheaded move by their head coach why they lost. I think if they go for it on a 4th and goal and get a touchdown there, it's different. And that's nothing that the players did. That's the play call. To send out the field goal unit when teams are scoring and can't stop each other seems silly to me. But take that up with Mario Cristobal.
You say all that, but would you be surprised if Alabama won 1, 2, or even 3 college football playoff games?
I would. Yes, I would.
Really? You'd be surprised?
I would be surprised.
I mean, they'll probably be favored in a bunch of these matchups.
So if the playoffs started today, Alabama would be traveling to Notre Dame. That would be the first matchup. Granted, it's a juicy one. I'll give you that.
That'd be interesting because Notre Dame's so untested. We have no idea about Notre Dame.
You also want to talk about weather creeping back into this thing. I mean, South Bend's not going to exactly be balmy in the 3rd week of December, or 2nd week, whatever this would be. And then the winner of that would go on to face, if everything holds, it would be SMU.
Oh,
I think
man.
Alabama could lose to any of those teams. I don't think that's a slam dunk.
They could easily beat those. That's my point. Like, they could easily win those games, too. I think you could have said the same about South Carolina and Ole Miss.
Probably. Yeah. And again, that's why, and not to take a veer off, like this is really about Alabama and Miami, and you can call us at 855-212-4227. But this is another reason why I don't love this format. And this is no disrespect to SMU or to Boise, but the fact that they get these first-round buys, it's like, did they really deserve the first-round bye? Maybe SMU does. They are a very good team. I love Boise. We're big fans. But are they one of the top 4 teams in the country?
Yeah, I mean, if you look back, there were a bunch of reasons this format was set this way to satisfy the conferences. This is all temporary. They could get rid of this pretty quickly, depending. And honestly, I think there's a little bit of pressure. Like, if you leave Alabama and the SEC out, SEC can always say, you know what, we're going to take our teams and go away and do our own thing. I do think that's hovering over this whole thing. Because I honestly, all these arguments lead me to believe, like, well, the system is broken. What would be a better system? I mean, we all know the Big Ten and the SEC could pull away. That just makes the way the game is going, it just feels like that could definitely happen. There'd be a logic to it.
Well, I think after seeing this, where the SEC and the Big Ten both get 4 teams in, ACC and Big 12 both get 1 team in, at least if things, work today.
Right.
I think that this is if you're the ACC, I don't know about the Big 12, but if you're the ACC, don't you want to just get gobbled up by these 2 conferences?
Yeah.
Like, you're seeing the disrespect, if you will. The fact that a 3-loss Alabama team got in over a 2-loss Miami team feels like disrespect.
Yeah, but your conference champion is likely going to be someone who just jumped up from the group of 5. So it's not like you are a power, you're not a conference of football powerhouses by any means.
Okay, we have talked about this all morning. You can call us up at 855-212-4227. Let us know what you think. Let's get the thoughts of Brett McMurphy. He's a college football insider for the Action Network and knows this sport inside and out. Brett, thanks for the time today. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Maggie. How you doing?
We're doing great. So the big debate today after the college football playoff rankings came out last night, Alabama with 3 losses or Miami with 2 losses, who deserves to be in as an at-large bid?
You know what? It's impossible to answer, to be honest. I mean, it depends on what you view more valuable. Is it fewer losses? Is it better wins? Is it who has the better losses? Who's better at the end of the year? Again, it boils down to it, and that's what's so frustrating for fans. There's not simply a formula that you can look up and determine who the committee is going to pick and say, well, if Team A did this and Team B did this, then the answer is going to be this. It's a beauty contest. It's a beauty pageant. It always has been for all 10 years they've been doing this, and it will continue to do this. I actually agree with Alabama being picked because when you look at the things that I think are more valuable, and that is strength of schedule, wins against better competition, it's Alabama. And I didn't think it was close. That's why I was surprised the ESPN and other people were saying, well, it's going to be Miami. And Ward Manuel, the selection chair, mentioned this, is that Alabama has a better record against top 25 teams, 3-1, compared with Miami, who's 0-1. The loss to Syracuse is literally their only game against a current top 25 team. And then Miami was 4-2 against teams that have a winning record, and Alabama was 6-1 against teams with a winning record. So, yeah, that means Alabama was better against the better teams. They were worse against the worst teams. So, again, I could make an argument for Miami, too, but I don't have an issue with it. I think the biggest thing is people that are SEC fans believe it should be Alabama. And if you're not an SEC fan, you think, well, they've already got 3 teams. It should be Miami. But this will never change unless we go back to the BCS and let the computers decide it.
Brett, do you think the committee looks at the AP poll, which came out on Sunday with Alabama 11 and Miami 14? I know they say they don't, and why was Alabama, it was so decided in the AP poll, it wasn't even close. Yeah, and I saw the same thing. And then there were Vegas odds in the morning that Alabama was going to jump Miami. I wasn't shocked at all it was Alabama. I would have been a little shocked if they left Alabama out. Wouldn't that have been controversial?
Well, yeah, Andrew. I mean, either way, it's controversial. But no, they don't look at the AP poll. I mean, and look, I vote in the AP poll, and I always joke when the first rankings come out that, okay, well, nobody will care about the AP poll anymore. But again, we're talking about human beings. And even though, you're supposed to do your best to pick the best teams, you're influenced. You're influenced by what you read, by what you hear, by what you see the talking heads on TV mention. And you get influenced by that whether you want to admit it or not. I thought it was fascinating. This is like the wildest year in college football. Imagine if I said this like 5 years ago, not even 10 years ago, that we would have conference commissioners, we would have coaches openly politicking to be in a playoff, to openly talk trash about other opponents, other teams, other conferences. I mean, I tweeted this the other day. I was joking, but I was serious. I'm waiting to see who the first conference is that's going to put out some presidential-type political ad ripping the other conference, for various things that they do or don't do. I mean, we saw those commercials, all those advertisements. I mean, that's what it's gotten to. Why are they doing that? They're trying to reach the committee. They're trying to sway the committee to think their way. Look, Jim Phillips, he's an honorable man. He is a great man. I respect and admire him greatly. He puts out a statement yesterday basically begging the committee to reconsider and change their mind in next week's poll. I've never, ever seen anything like that, at least in college football.
Yeah, he's the commissioner of the ACC, and obviously they were upset that Miami got left out over Alabama. Alabama's 3 losses. Miami has 2 losses. That'd be one metric you could use. Brett McMurphy's joining us, college football insider for the Action Network. You made a good case for Alabama. I think you could make that same case for Ole Miss. And you're talking about the beauty pageant aspect of this, and I think you're right. But I also think the beauty pageant is changing a little bit in that with NIL and the transfer portal, it's not just the Alabamas and the Georgias that get to stack the 5 stars. I think if you look at Ole Miss, that's a pretty roster also. I know they lost to Florida, but Florida's playing a lot better now at the end of the year, right? So Perloff and I have been talking all morning, how much weight does the Alabama brand still hold when you are in this era of NIL and transfer portal and Nick Saban isn't there anymore?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about players going to Alabama, I think basically people within the industry said when Saban left Alabama, which this is kind of, it's similar to what you're saying. Alabama lost that Alabama discount. And what I mean by that is, if it takes X amount to go to a top tier SEC school, Alabama would not have to offer that much money.
Sure.
Because Saban was there.
Yep.
Because why? Because they can point to the wall, or they can turn on the TV on Sunday and watch 4 dozen Alabama players play. And I think the amount of money those contracts are worth was some crazy. I don't want to say $1 billion, but it may have been just crazy amount of money that Alabama players have made in the NFL. So you can tell a recruit that look, yeah, you want to go there and make $100,000 more at school, that's great. But you come here over your lifetime, you're going to make X million dollars more. And that worked. Well, now Saban's gone. So now that discount's gone, now Alabama's got to pay, what the going rate is for the other schools. Will that impact them? Will that knock them down? And you mentioned, the Alabama brand. I really think this, Maggie, and I've done the mock selection committee where you basically, you go to Dallas and you go through the entire process that the committee does. You do it with a previous season. So you see how they interpret things. You see how they vote. You see all this stuff. I know people, I can say this till the end of time, people won't believe me. You really don't think about the brand. You really don't think about the conference. You don't worry about matchups. Is it going to be a rematch? Has this team played before? You really just look at the data, the information that's important to you, and everyone's different. And then you rank the teams as best as you can. People don't like that. That doesn't fold into the conspiracy theory. So I don't think Alabama was chosen by brand. I just think they were chosen because they had better wins than Miami.
All right, let's transition to another big brand, Ohio State. What does Ryan Day have to do in this college football playoff to, let's just say, keep his job?
This is, talk about, things we never thought we'd see. I mean, Andrew, I was listening to Columbus radio station on Sunday. I have a friend who said, you got to turn this on. It called me and I turned it on. I obviously don't live in Columbus. They literally were suggesting Ryan Day should be fired before the playoff, that he shouldn't be allowed to coach because of the Michigan loss, that he had been reportedly looking for another job for the past month, and they need to get rid of him. It's crazy. I mean, the buyouts, 30 to 40 million. It's probably more. It's probably double that. I haven't looked it up lately. It's ridiculous that they would consider getting rid of somebody that literally only lost 5 conference games in 6 years. Of course, he's something like 41-1 against the Big Ten, and he's 1-4 against Michigan. I think you bring up a very valid point. If he doesn't win the national championship, I wonder if he wants to stay there. After the game, they lost. A couple of, I wish I knew which reporter, I'd give him credit, wrote about how his daughter was on the field just in tears after the game. Obviously, your kids are going to be upset after a loss and stuff, but I think this goes a lot deeper. And if I'm listening to a Columbus radio station on Sunday after the Michigan game, you're going to talk to your audience. You're not going to have some wild theory out there that you're not hearing, that your listeners don't want to listen to. You guys know that better than I do. Mm-hmm. So that's a real thing. And I wonder if he wants to remain in that environment. And I wonder, again, coaches are only successful as long as their fan base doesn't check out or turn on you. And if he doesn't win the national championship, I wonder if that will happen. Should that happen? Absolutely not. Could that happen? Yes. And that's why when I was at Big Ten Media Days this summer in Indianapolis, I didn't predict Ohio State to win the national championship. It's not because they're not talented enough. It's not because they're not one of the best teams in the country. It's because all they talked about in Indianapolis was it's the national title or bust. I've never, in all the years covering college football, I've never seen a team before the season be that open publicly about winning the national championship. Sure, teams want to win it, but nobody has said, basically, if we don't win the national championship, it's a disappointment. And I thought the pressure on them from the outset would eventually catch up to them. And I think we saw it firsthand against Michigan. The pressure crushed them. Can they rebound and win the national title? Yeah, heck, they still have a chance. I think they're first or second shortest odds to win the national title. But Andrew, if they don't win the national title, I just wonder if there is a change, as crazy as that is, because I wonder if he has absolutely lost the fan base because he can't beat Michigan, especially this year as a 3-touchdown favorite.
And if they do fire him, wow, the dominoes that would set off in terms of the coaching carousel to see who replaces him, and then how does that guy get replaced? Brett McMurphy, you can follow him, college football insider for the Action Network. Brett, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. I think the fan base still wants him fired.
Oh, my God. I saw Brett had tweeted some of the stuff that he was here. It wasn't just that. I love that idea of firing him before the playoff is one of the funniest things I ever heard. Like, we're about to play Tennessee. It's just, of course, you're not going to fire your coach as he's headed to the playoff, but they were very, very angry. That's an interesting question, too. Would he leave on his own?
I think he would. Again, I think maybe there's a job like that North Carolina job or maybe
West Virginia or whatever.
West Virginia. Yeah. I think Jimbo Fisher has been kind of slotting Jimbo Fisher to that job. Yeah. But, I mean, go to Chapel Hill. It's a basketball school. Yeah. Still get to compete in the ACC. A little bit lower stakes in terms of the fan base. Anyway, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. You want to weigh in on that and the college football playoff. What'd they get right and what'd the committee get wrong? All right, Perloff. I've been waiting for you to come in, well, because we got to do the show together, but also because you keep talking about Prize Picks. Yesterday, you were doing Victor Wembanyama, and I believe you paired him together with
Cat. Carl Anthony Towns. I went with the big man parlay. That's the best thing about Prize Picks is when you mix and match and you get other sports in there too. I know there wasn't football last night. It didn't matter. There was so much to choose from.
I know. It's NBA, it's football, the NFL, it's college football. If you're a big golf fan, you can get in on golf. You can get in on tennis, soccer, esports.
Soulfly, 17.5 maps.
I mean, who could have seen that coming?
When bust Jama?
All you got to do, guys, download the Prize Picks app. So simple to use. Then you pick 2 or more players across any sport or esport. Pick more or less on their projection. You could win up to 100 times your money. This is the best thing that's happened to the show.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Prize Picks, they even invented the flex play, so you can still cash out if one of your picks doesn't hit. Just download the Prize Picks app today and use the code MNP and get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code MNP on Prize Picks to get a $50 credit instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game, must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff show, we just had Brett McMurphy, Action Network College Football Insider. He summed it up perfectly. He's like, you can throw out the numbers. It's a beauty pageant at the end of the day. He also made it seem like there's no really underlying logic that's a consistent thread through the committee's choice. At the end of the day, they're kind of picking who they like, which we all knew. I mean, that's not exactly breaking news. So I think if you're trying to find like a statistical consistency, you would never find it from year to year. And it's hard to do in college football because not everybody has the same strength of schedule. So I know EJ's mad about Miami, but if Miami was in the SEC, do we really believe they would be a 2-loss team? Probably not.
No, but would they get in with 3 losses like Alabama just did?
No, Alabama would jump them. And even would they be a 3-loss team in the SEC? I mean, we had a caller from California, like, yeah, that Cal game is always going to be like the Cal and Stanford in the ACC. It's like somebody pointed out, like, you lose to those teams, it's not good.
Well, how about this? If we're talking about the revisions, I think that's BS, by the way, the fact that you would say now, a month and a half later, oh, yeah, by the way, they barely won against those teams, so we're going to use that as a reason to punish them when that never existed through the last few weeks. But do you remember when that whole ACC expansion happened? We're talking about Cal and Stanford, how silly it was. SMU was the throw-in. SMU can't even take a check from the conference for like another couple years because they had to beg the ACC to take them. Meanwhile, they could win the title, the conference title in the first season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's...
How hilarious.
But again, like, that's why the ACC will probably only get one team. Because the fact that SMU could come out of a non-major conference and win it in the first year is like not good.
No, I think that's the brand thing. SMU has to rebuild their brand a little bit. And it's funny, Brett did a great job. If you missed any part of it, Maggie and Perloff podcast, you can use the rewind function on the free Odyssey app, which is great. But he did say it's a beauty pageant at one point in the interview, and then did say later he's been a part of these mock selections where he said brand doesn't really come into play. Like, well, what is it? Is it a beauty pageant or is it brand doesn't come into play? Mike is in Wisconsin, wants to weigh in on the College Football Playoff Committee. Hey, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Great talking to y'all. Y'all definitely deserve to be in the conversation because y'all are definitely in the top 12 of sports talk.
Heck yeah. I mean, are we a bye?
Top 5.
Are we a bye or are we like sort of in that 8-9 Tennessee, Ohio State realm?
Actually, to be honest, y'all are in the top 1 or 2 for sure.
There
Love
we go.
You guys. So my question is regarding close victories over unranked teams. Do we as fans believe, and do we believe the committee weighs that in account? You know, I'm thinking especially Miami, even though certainly in the top 12 here, there's been some other close victories against unranked teams. I'll take it off air. Great talking to y'all.
Yeah, Mike, thank you. You mean like Georgia winning against Georgia Tech? That's a close victory against an unranked team.
Yeah. No.
8 overtimes. It doesn't get any closer.
One thing on SMU, just a little perspective on who just won the ACC. 2 years ago, in Rhett Lashley's first year there, they were 5-3 in the American Conference, and they're good enough to run the entire ACC, which says to me like the ACC is not a strong football conference right now.
That's what it says to you. What it says to me is that parity now is a thing in college football, and if you've got some money, you can put together a really good team.
Yeah, to me, it says the ACC is just not like the SEC or the Big Ten. And I don't think there's any doubt about that. They're going to get one team in, most likely, and those others. I don't think people are going to be mad about the ACC teams at the end of the day.
See, I think that's going to be an outdated way of thinking soon.
ACC, come
look
on,
Look at the bottom of the Big Ten. Do you really think the bottom of the Big Ten with the Purdue's and give me a couple other names? Who else in the bottom?
Northwestern.
I was like Rutgers, but Rutgers actually is bowl eligible. The bottom of the Big Ten, you're telling me can't compete with the ACC?
Maryland, Wisconsin, UCLA.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like-
but
it's
can
just
the
not
top
true
can
anymore.
the top of the ACC compete with the top of the Big Ten and the SEC?
Yes.
I think they
No.
can, but we're not going to get a chance to find out
I
because
disagree
the
with-
SEC and Big Ten are still weighted so heavily.
I wholeheartedly disagree with both of you. Just the fact, I mean, SMU was a 500 team in the American Conference 2 years ago, and they just whooped the entire conference.
Okay, you change your culture, you get a new coach in. And
The coach was there.
in Dallas, but he gets time to establish his culture. And in Dallas, you got money. SMU has money. And look at Arizona State. Weren't they picked to come in last place in the Big 12?
Yeah, I
Something
know.
close to it. And look
That's
what
not-
happened.
that's not a
that
badge
should
of
be
honor.
celebrated.
Celebrated, yes, but come on. We know that the SEC and the Big Ten are significantly better than those conferences.
I don't know that.
Well-
I'm sorry. I don't. You can't tell me that these teams that are supposed to be so great, Ole Miss supposed to be so great, and at home they lose to a team that's their only SEC win? Is Kentucky? Is Kentucky better than Boston College? How the hell would I know that? Like these are random teams these teams are losing to. Alabama loses to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's going to go to ACC and win 10, 11 games? Hell no.
Vanderbilt would probably win the ACC.
Give me a break.
Okay, hold on. Let's
SMU
go.
just won the
me a
ACC.
break.
Vanderbilt would probably run the ACC just
Oh
like
my gosh.
SMU. Come on.
Let's go to Andy is in Pittsburgh. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning there. I responded to Maggie saying she don't like this playoff format. Well, I think it's only going to get better because I hope eventually it gets to 32 teams, and to me it'll be just as big and maybe more successful than March Madness. I mean, I'm hoping it gets to that, and it'd be great. And also, like the baseball wild card, it helps more places and states get excited about their team, possible playoffs and championships.
But Andy, what about their studies?
Yes.
What about their classes?
Well, that's good. I mean, college basketball players play 40 games. Of course, we can't expect them to play 40 games. But
That's a great point.
Andy,
Yeah, but
you
that's
should
like
have told
college.
Perloff, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Studies, class. As our guest from yesterday, Cardell Jones said, I didn't come here to play school. He was talking about Ohio State. Andy, thank you for that. I think this 12-team college football playoff is probably as valuable as the March Madness is right now.
March Madness
It's billions of dollars,
Yeah.
but isn't the college football playoff?
Probably.
In terms of ads, and they sold this to ESPN, basically holds the rights, and ESPN farmed it out to TNT for a couple games. And
I mean, it would be totally ridiculous to expand to 32 teams, and I would love to watch it. Oh my God, I'd be so in on that. The 32 team playoff. That'd be like, don't call me December. I'm going to be busy watching the 32 team playoff. It's kind of like the golden bat rule in MLB. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be bitterly disappointed. I mean, come on. Can you imagine Kansas playing Ohio State in round one? Oh, let's go.
this playoff's going to replace non-conference, obviously, for when we actually get unique and interesting matchups more than
Alabama can't play Mercer. Oh, no.
outside every once in a while when Notre Dame goes to play somebody.
Oh, my God. But let's put Miami in the SEC where they belong, and then we'll talk.
Okay, yeah. Week one, we went into the swamp, and we smacked around the Gators.
You beat Graham Mertz.
Lively played in that game. So
he played how many snaps?
He played the whole second half. We knocked Mertz out of the game.
Manny could have beaten that Florida team. Get out of here.
Come on. Oh, so now it's, we beat Florida in week one, not in week 8.
Oh, come on. Florida stunk right there.
You beat this team,
you know
but
Florida
not that
stunk
team.
then.
Miami would go to the SEC. I know one thing. Miami wouldn't lose to Oklahoma. Miami wouldn't lose to Vanderbilt.
Yes,
you know what Miami should have done? They should have just said, you know what? Forget about this. Let's put Mercer at the end of our season. That's the only reason why Alabama's here. If Alabama scheduled a real team in non-conference that last game, they wouldn't be here either.
They played Auburn.
Auburn is 5-7. Auburn's terrible.
But that's their last game.
Auburn's awful. I'm talking about this game before that. They scheduled Mercer. The only reason why they're here is because they went 2-1 in a stretch where they played the worst teams on their schedule. They had Auburn, they had Oklahoma, and they had Mercer. That's literally maybe 3 of the worst teams on their schedule. They went 2-1, and they were getting rewarded for it. That's the case. Put South Carolina in. At least South Carolina won.
See, that's what I'm saying. South Carolina's on a 6-game winning streak.
That's actual FBS teams. I mean, come on.
That, to me, that gives South Carolina definitely a leg here. And I think Ole Miss deserves some love, too, because they've beaten a lot of top 25 teams. And, yeah, they lost to Florida, but that Florida team is much better now. And they beat Georgia by a lot, 28-10.
Alabama's done that game forever, though. I mean, there's some tradition there, right? They've done that end of the second to last week total bye game.
Yeah, I love it. That's the tradition.
No, I mean, like they
Little
always,
Sisters of the Poor.
They always have that game. Like they've been doing that for years.
Yeah, because Saban was smart about scheduling that.
Well, listen, like I mean, they had a brutal. Like they made up for it in the beginning of the season. Do you think it's easy to beat Western Kentucky, South Florida, and Wisconsin to start the season?
Well, that's another one actually. South Florida, who they took to the wire. South Florida. Meanwhile, Miami destroyed South Florida. Let's go to Bogish because he's got headlines for us.
And they're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at progressive.com. You may have noticed that EJ, Sebastian, the Iabis, and all of the ACCs insulted this morning. Miami dropping 6 spots to number 12 in the new CFP Top 25 for losing at Syracuse over the weekend. Ohio State only went down 4 spots to number 6 for their dud at home against lowly Michigan. Miami does have a place in the 12, or does not have a place in the 12-team bracket, though, because number 15 Arizona State needs a spot as the Big 12 leader. Yes, 3-loss Alabama seems safely in the field at number 11 without any more games to affect their resume. Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State getting first-round byes in this last pretend bracket. First-round games would be Penn State, Arizona State, Ohio State, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Georgia, Indiana. Devin Booker scored 29. The Suns beat the Spurs 104-93, but it was a bad night for Phoenix. They did not make the NBA Cup quarterfinals because the Mavs beat the Grizzlies 121-116. And more importantly, Kevin Durant left in the second quarter last night with an ankle injury. Here's Booker.
Not even having him on the bench in the second half was tough, but, we still fought. They came out, punched us in the face to start the half, and, we just stuck with it, weathered the storm, and, it was a growth moment for us.
There was no post-game update on Durant. He just missed 7 games, though, with a calf injury, and Phoenix lost 6 of them. The Thunder are the 1 seed in the west half of the bracket after dropping the Jazz 133-106, and the Rockets losing in Sacramento 120-111. OKC plays Dallas next week, while Houston hosts Golden State. The Warriors skid hit 5 last night, 119-115 losers in Denver. Nikola Jokic, 38 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. Giannis and Damian Lillard combined for 55 in the Bucks. 7th win in a row, 128-107 in Detroit. They're the top seed in the East, followed by the Knicks, Hawks, and Magic. 3 ranked men's teams lost last night. 4th-ranked Kentucky at Clemson, 70-66. Number 11, Wisconsin at home to Michigan, 67-64. And number 14, Cincinnati at Villanova, 68-60. Are we getting a Juan Soto decision in the coming days? Scott Boras said yesterday they've begun paring down their list of suitors. Reports say all current Soto offers are over $600 million. And finally, they were back where the Connor love affair began. The Oilers and the Golden Knights in Vegas last night.
Draisaitl couldn't handle the pass. 2-on-1. Barbashev with Eichel. The pass. Score! Off Skinner and in from Barbashev. Not how he drew it up, but it's a goal. 13th of the year for Barbashev. And the Knights have a 1-0 lead.
And that was the only goal of the game. Dan Duva called it on Golden Knights radio. So Vegas beat Edmonton, the original Connor McDavid, obviously pointless for the Oilers.
The original
in that
Connor.
defeat. I mean, that was your guy. That was your entry point into Connor love.
Yeah, I mean, remember how Jalen Rose said he's the first Jalen?
Yeah.
And I thought that was ridiculous, but I could prove it.
Yeah.
Who's the first Connor? Connor is kind of a newish name. They're famous Connors.
I mean, I'm assuming someone probably on the island of Ireland is the original
Oh,
Connor.
right.
He was your first Connor.
Not the world's.
Yeah.
Who's that favorite Connor? Who's first, Connor McGregor or Connor McDavid?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know when Conor McGregor was first famous, but McDavid has been like hockey famous for a long time now, like coming up through juniors and stuff like that.
There you go.
Mom, Dad, back to you.
The first
I don't even
Connor.
need to be here.
Can we-
Connor McDavid's only 27, so it's got to be Conor McGregor.
But we've known of Conor McDavid since he was like 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his time with the Erie Otters.
See, Manny knows.
Where do they play?
Erie.
Manny
Which
knows
Erie?
every stadium but that one. Found
the,
your flaw.
the Erie Convention Center. That's probably where they play.
Good. It's a good guess. Thought you were going to give us the Taylor Swift-Kelsey plans, Bogues.
What plan are we talking about?
Christmas.
Oh, my God.
Christmas together.
I didn't even know
Page
that.
6.
Do you want to?
Oh,
Sorry.
you guys got to start reading the newspaper.
Do you want to see how sad the list of famous Connors in? Number 1, McGregor. Number 2, McDavid. Number 3 is Connor Cook.
Number 4 is
No.
Connor.
On Ranker.com. Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Did he make this list?
Remember Connor Cook? Didn't he start a playoff game for the Raiders? Number 4 is Connor Trenier. Don't know him.
No.
Connor Gillespie, Connor Cruz.
Connor Green is in there, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a few Connor
Works for
Oberst. I know
WFAN.
him.
Where's Connor Bedard?
Well, I guess
Wait, I'm sorry. There's no famous Connor movie star, actor?
according to Ranker.com, which is the go-to list here, not a lot.
Sean Connery, any chance he could probably get in there?
I think he has to get in to make this list better.
Connor Shaw, remember him? South Carolina quarterback. There you go. Connor
That's it?
Cook is the saddest.
Connor Cook.
I guess this was done before Connor Bedard.
Wait, wasn't one of the famous things about Connor Cook? Did he go to Michigan State? Are we talking
Yeah.
about the same
Yeah,
guy? Okay. Connor Cook, we're doing this off the top of our heads. I think there was something about he was the quarterback but wasn't a captain. And people question that.
Was he the
Am I
guy?
slandering him right now?
By the way, I think a couple things about it. Didn't Jerry Jones want to draft him over Dak or something like that?
He was not a captain.
Or no,
And
he was
a
not a
captain.
captain,
It was
right.
a huge issue with the NFL draft.
Thank you. I'm remembering this now. He took over for Kirk Cousins?
I believe so, yeah. Oh, no. This was way past Kirk Cousins, I think. This is 2016, I'm seeing.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm on a timeline of Michigan State quarterbacks.
Well,
It's
you
off a
had
little
that.
bit.
You had that run of Hoyer to Stanton to Cousins. Yeah, that's actually not that far. Because what year was Cousins? 2012.
Something like that.
Yeah, but he's the third most famous Connor alive on this planet right now.
He would be thrilled to know
Wow.
that, I bet.
Yeah.
Who's going to tell him he's not a captain? Clearly doesn't have any friends.
You want your kid to be successful in sports or Hollywood entertainment, do not name them Connor.
Or
Odds are
name
ve-
them Connor.
odds are very
Any
low.
modicum of success makes them high on the list.
That's true. If you don't really want to name your kid Michael Jordan.
Right.
By the way, I think I'm right. I think that the Cowboys desperately wanted to draft him, and the Raiders took him right before. And the Cowboys, I believe, landed that year with Dak.
All in.
By the way,
Yeah.
QB in between Cousins and Connor Cook, Andrew Maxwell. Anybody remember him?
Oh, Andy Maxwell. He should have won the Maxwell Award. It was named after him, for God's sakes.
I knew Perloff would remember him.
No, I don't.
He
I
doesn't.
don't remember.
Oh, come
remember
on.
Vernon Maxwell.
By the way,
No, all backup quarterback. I thought you would know this
Vernon
guy.
Maxwell. Now we're just on a tangent here. Anyone see the video that Vernon Maxwell put on social media?
I did.
I didn't
Wow.
know. They let Vernon Maxwell get on social
They
media.
should not have. He basically
Who's
said,
they?
yeah, take it up with Elon. Vernon Maxwell put out a video name calling someone who owes him 10 grand. And he does not hold back on this person. Anyway, 855-212-4227. That app is free. And I watched Vernon Maxwell call out some dude from the 80s about how he owes him 10 grand. And Vernon doesn't look that great, by the way.
Vernon's probably on several watch lists. Like, in fact, he's on social. It's a little scary.
You imagine how desperate you have to be to like ask Vernon Maxwell for money? Oh my goodness. Okay, see you guys on the phones. Hold tight for a second. We will get to you in just a moment. We have so much more, including the college football playoff, what they got right and what they got wrong, and also an interesting pairing. We didn't get to this yesterday. In the NFL, could this work or would it be a disaster?
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Talking a lot about the college football playoff. Did Miami get hosed? They're left out at 10-2 over Alabama. Gets in at 9-3. Can we also put a poll up quickly at Maggie and Pearl? Do you want to watch Aaron Rodgers do drugs on this new Netflix documentary that's coming out? The trailer implies, Perloff, that we go with Rodgers behind the scenes footage in Costa Rica where he takes ayahuasca.
Right, but it's also going to be a lot of him rehabbing, right?
Yeah, that too.
That's going to be terrible.
Well, that's a little bit more run-of-the-mill, if you will.
Self-serving. I've seen the rehab documentary before.
Nobody is going to have, I feel confident saying this, no one will have a more compelling rehab documentary movie than Alex Smith. If you're talking about from just a physical injury, not like, you know, personal issues and stuff like that, a physical injury like Rodgers had in Achilles, Alex Smith's documentary is unbelievably told.
I don't think so.
Thank you, Manny. Adrian is our pal in Maryland. Adrian, you're feeling for EJ and the Hurricanes fans today, huh?
I am feeling for EJ. I'm feeling for EJ. This is crazy. They I understand if they put South Carolina ahead of Miami and then Alabama back there somewhere, that's fine. Now you basically can't do that. Alabama's had two losses with double digits where they basically weren't in the game, and then they had another loss to Tennessee in Tennessee. So they're flawed on the road to start it off. So if they get in the playoffs, they're going to be on the road for their first game, and they're going to be a one and done scenario.
You think that if it started today, the college football playoff, they would go to South Bend and play Notre Dame? You think Notre Dame would beat Alabama?
Notre Dame would beat Alabama. I also have Penn State beating Oregon this week. Sorry, Maggie.
Listen, that's okay, but I don't know if that's the better thing for Penn State, because look at it this way. If you win the Big Ten championship, you probably get the number 1 seed. So, okay, congratulations, you get a bye. But after that bye, you might play the winner of Tennessee and Ohio State, as opposed to the 5th seed where you could play Arizona State and then maybe play Boise in the second round.
Maggie, nobody goes into games like that thinking scenarios down the road in the future. They think of one game at a time. So if you did that, you would say, oh, we want this, like the Lakers did, I think it was last year. Oh, we don't want to play Denver in the second round, and they end up getting swept. Well,
By New Orleans.
They said they want to play Denver, and they end up getting swept.
Yeah,
so
right.
You go 1 week at a time. You play the game, and then Penn State could have beat Ohio State the first game they played. That game was they had the ball inside the 5 twice, and they lost. So it's not like Ohio State is unbeatable, which for some reason everybody thinks they're unbeatable, which I don't.
No, I don't think they're unbeatable, Adrian. I was actually talking about Tennessee. I mean, I don't know if I want to play. That defense is good. It's just like on paper the harder matchup. But listen, you're right. You try to manipulate this stuff too much, and you could find yourself in trouble. I just ask, like, what's the better outcome? You know?
No doubt. I think Tennessee's a sleeper. I like Indiana, and I also like. People are sleeping on SMU. People are really sleeping on SMU. They're a good team. They can score and they play defense. So if you want to put some money on SMU to win the national title, it's not going to hurt you. I think they're probably about 400 or 500 to 1 or whatever it is, plus 400 or 500, something like that. So that's actually a sleeper team. And basically, Miami is rooting for Clemson this week, so Alabama basically just doesn't get in. So the committee can't screw them. Because if Clemson wins, SMU's already locked in. If Clemson wins, they're in, and then Bama gets knocked out. So there goes your Bama getting in.
I just wonder, Adrian, thank you for the call. I agree with you on that. I do think that SMU is dangerous, and I think they're in even if they lose to Clemson. But I ask you, is the same thing true for Boise?
Yes, unfortunately, they're probably out.
I was going to say, so I think it's the same thing is not true. I think if Boise loses to UNLV, just UNLV is getting in as the Group of 5 champion and Boise is left out?
Yeah, it seems that way.
Man, that seems unfair.
I do agree with one thing. I think Penn State could beat Oregon right now because I wonder, isn't it going to be hard for Oregon to get up for this game? I mean, I know it's a conference title game, but it's really hard to ignore. Like the 12-team playoff overwhelms these conference championship games. So at a normal game, I think Oregon beats Penn State. But on this game, I don't know if they're as enthused about it. They have to be looking ahead. Everybody is.
But if you want the first round bye, you got to win.
I know it feels different. It doesn't feel like game of the century at all. You made a great scenario where like I don't even know. Do you want to win?
Well, you get the bye, but if waiting for you on the other side of the bye is Ohio State or Tennessee as opposed to Boise.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the urgency is there for a bunch of these games.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're all going to play as if their lives depend on it.
I don't think so. I think you're going to see that on 12 team. I think even they might see some vanilla offense.
Interesting. 855-212-4227. All right, it's Wednesday. Around here, we do the great debate. Had to postpone it last hour. It comes to you in just moments. What did we pick today? It's a mystery. Stay tuned.
You're in a 5 minute.
Young Perloff hit the flea market stand, a $10 bill in his sweaty little hand. He said, I need ninja stars, the kind that can slice. Kids need weapons, this country's too nice. At Erica's Soft, it's a remark shame. Kids need throwing stars to up their game. All Peter Belotti's messing around, skipping work again, he's nowhere to be found. In my day, we played with sharp steel, not this plastic stuff that doesn't feel real. Meanwhile, Peter Bonnie's messing around, skipping work again, he's nowhere to be found. Back in my day, we played with sharp steel, not this plastic stuff, it doesn't feel real. Andrew says, teach him young, give him some grit, but Belotti's too lazy to give a rip. At Erica's Soft, it's a remark shame. Kids need throwing stars to up their game. All Peter.
Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Everyone all up in their feelings today. Big mad about the college football playoff rankings, the newest ones. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. This kind of feels like, outside a tweak here or there, Pearl, like this is basically the field. This is what we're getting outside of one big thing that still has to be determined. It's actually all about the ACC championship game. Who had that on their bingo card? If Clemson beats SMU, that means Alabama, who has found their way into the Final 12 with 3 losses, would be on the outside looking in most likely.
Unless Clemson blows them out like 45-10, then SMU is probably out.
Which is nuts because SMU has held a pretty nice ranking here throughout the last few weeks. So the headline really is Alabama getting in with 3 losses, where a lot of people think Miami should have been the pick there because they have 2 losses. Now, do they play in a different conference? Yes. But 2 losses versus 3 losses, that's a big difference. And strength of schedule had not really mattered too much in the weeks leading up to this final ranking or penultimate ranking, and now suddenly they do. So you're welcome to weigh in on that at 855-212-4227. Is there a better way to explain it?
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, this is the committee that knocked out an undefeated Florida State last year. Like, don't try and make a rhyme or reason out of any of this.
Yeah, but I'd like to believe it's a little bit more than just what are the biggest brands in college football and how do we shoehorn them into this playoff.
Well, then I have a disappointing thing for you, Maggie. Because,
you've got some
I'm going to
beachfront
introduce you
property
to
in Idaho.
reality. I mean, that's just not the way it's going to work. And again, I keep coming back to the fact that the coaches poll and the AP had Alabama a couple spots ahead of Miami. I think that matters. I think somebody must have read that, be like, wait, we're going to go against the other 2 polls and jump Miami over Alabama. That's too tough to me.
Okay, well, let's hear from Ward Manuel, who is the suit in charge of all of this. He's the athletic director of Michigan as well. Manny, can I hear cut 5, please? They said that Miami's recent schedule and losing 2 out of the last 3 was a factor.
Both have had some losses that weren't what they wanted out of those games. But in the last 3 games, Miami has lost twice. And so for us, in evaluating their body of work, we felt that Alabama got the edge over Miami.
Yeah, that one to me does not hold up. So, yes, it's true. Miami did lose 2 of the last 3. They lost to Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, who just took Georgia to 8 overtimes. They lost to them by 5. And then they also lost to Syracuse. We all watched that game probably over the holiday break, where a coach's decision to kick a field goal rather than go for a touchdown likely doomed Miami. So it's not really about the players on the field, in my opinion, as opposed to Alabama, who in their last 3 played Mercer, got boat raced by Oklahoma, and then beat an Auburn team that had 5 conference wins.
I love the way you're just giving Miami a touchdown on that 4th and 10 play.
I think I gave Auburn too many conference
And by the way,
wins there.
even if Miami scored there, like I think Syracuse still could have scored again. Anyway, but regardless, you oversimplified that situation for Miami a little bit.
Well, they have the number 1 offense in the country. So to say they could have scored a touchdown on a 4th and goal from the 10 when Syracuse hadn't stopped them in an hour and a half.
They just stopped them on the 3 plays right before. And also Miami was imploding all over that second. Like they had so many bad plays on offense too. Like they kept getting penalty. Like they how is it 4th and 10 if it was 1st and goal?
Well, here's the question. Is losing 42-38 to Syracuse, is that worse
That's awful.
than losing... But is it worse
in basketball,
than
it's
losing
not
to
embarrassing. In football,
24-3 to Oklahoma?
I mean, if you dropped an alien on and said, what's worse, losing 24-3 to Oklahoma football, or Syracuse, yeah, of course it's worse to lose to Syracuse.
But we have eyes, Pearl. We watch Oklahoma
We watched
play.
Oklahoma.
I mean, yeah, by the way, Oklahoma had some tough games. Like Oklahoma, they were good against Tennessee. That was a really close game. They did beat
10-point game.
They did beat Tulane.
Oh my gosh!
Tulane was in the mix.
They also beat them in September.
At home.
A while ago.
I generally, believe me, show me that many Miami wins that are better than that one.
Most of their schedule. Oh, Tulane? Are you kidding me?
Wasn't Tulane ranked most of the season?
Yeah, but Tulane lost to the only good teams on their schedule. They lost to K-State and they lost to OU. OU's not even good.
Yeah, Tulane was a top 25 team for most of the season.
That's top 25 thing is bogus because again, we talk about how bad Army is, and they're ranked because they're beating up on bad teams. But we say, well, Notre Dame has a ranked win, and it's Army. We talk about Tulane and saying, well, that's a ranked win, but Tulane is playing non-ranked teams their entire schedule. When they play good teams, they lose. The ranking thing is purely arbitrary because I can make the case that Duke should be ranked. I can make the case that Louisville should be ranked. I can make the case that Florida should be ranked. There's so many teams on Miami's schedule I can make the case that are ranked, but because they're not, it's like we throw out those wins, and it's just made up. It's thin air. It's nonsense.
And this is what has people upset today. So we got a couple poll questions out there for you at Maggie and Pearl. You can go there, vote, let your voice be heard.
By the way,
First and
Tulane was
foremost.
a hair from being in this 12-team playoff. Like you say they're a joke, but they easily could be alive right now.
Well, they lost to Memphis. And
I know. If they didn't lose that game.
So right now, poll question. Who deserves the last at-large bid in the college football playoff? Is it Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, or South Carolina? EJ's Miami Hurricanes are leading this poll, 36%. We also have a question out there for you. Which is the bigger college football brand? This was an offshoot of a different conversation. Is it Alabama or is it Notre Dame? Biggest brand. Notre Dame edging out Alabama right now, 51-49%. And then finally, if you have $3 million to spend, would you buy the Batmobile? Joe Burrow has purchased the Batmobile, we found out. One of 10 from the Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale version. 80% say no. Kind of surprised it's that much of a lopsided. It's a silly purchase, but we're saying if you can afford it, not like you've got to, shake down every family member and win the lottery for the money.
A bunch of jokers in this poll.
Manny liked that joke. All right, it's Wednesday, so around here we do the great debate. Let's hit it.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay, another poll that could have been out there is, do you want to watch Aaron Rodgers in a documentary where it looks like he's going to do drugs? Ayahuasca.
I don't think so.
Plant-based medicine, I should say. Do you want to watch him basically trip his face off in a Netflix doc? Yes, no.
This show has more questions than the SAT.
Just as excruciating, too.
Leave me alone. Stop making me think.
Listen, we're your morning coffee and jolt of vitamin B. So
the hook is Jameis Winston, though. Forget Aaron.
Oh, right. Well, this was about Aaron's Netflix documentary. It's called Aaron Rodgers, Enigma.
Yeah. There's no enigma. We know every detail about Aaron Rodgers' life to the T. Like, please get him off my TV. I think this is a Jameis Winston great debate because what was the poll question the DP show I had yesterday? That would nailed it perfectly.
Oh, yeah. The DP had a great quote. Your former boss had a great poll question, which was, did Jameis Winston have a good game on
Yes.
Monday night?
Is
Threw
Jameis
for
Winston
500 yards and threw 3 picks, including 2 pick sixes. Talk about one to think on.
Is he a good quarterback or a bad quarterback? He is ultimately
An enigma.
An enigma, which led us to the great debate. Who is the greatest sports enigma? Should I get us kicked off?
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me read a little from 2011. This is ESPN.com. Great football writer Ashley Fox talking about Tim Tebow. Tebow is the second biggest story in the NFL. Part phenomenon, part enigma. A too good to be true feel-good story in an era of negativity and anonymous hate. Is he good? Is he bad? Does he just run? Can he throw? Does he always have to praise God? Can he play? That is the question. No one has ever known, is Tim Tebow a good football player or a bad football player? Ultimately, a bad NFL quarterback, but great college football player. I think he was a very confusing player, mostly on the field. I'm going Tim Tebow is the greatest sports/football enigma.
And here we go. First snap of the overtime. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiffer got him free to the 30, to the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
There you go. Tim Tebow won a playoff game in the NFL. Isn't that crazy? That's bananas. And they cut him for Peyton Manning. Unbelievable. By the way, guess what?
He beat the Steelers, too.
Yeah.
Broncos beat the Steelers.
Well, what was the biggest story, by the way? I don't want to guess. 2011, it was, according to Ashley, was the undefeated Green Bay Packers. Don't remember that one. Is that the year they went 15-1 and blew it? Anyway, Tim Tebow is my biggest enigma.
All right, we're doing biggest sports enigmas today for our great debate. I'm going to go to a guy we've actually been talking about a little bit recently, and it's Mike Tyson. Think about this guy, born into poverty, then becomes the youngest heavyweight champion of all time.
Legacy doesn't mean nothing.
At the height of his powers and fame, ends up going to prison, comes back, fights Evander Holyfield, bites his ear, tattoos his face. You think that he can't get any weirder or more on the fringe, and then all of a sudden he shows up in the movie The Hangover, and he becomes this, cult hero again, gets a one-man show on Broadway, and then he's fighting Jake Paul. 100 million people watched that fight, according to Netflix. Mike Tyson is the biggest sports enigma because anything can happen when he's around.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
Legacy doesn't mean nothing.
It's the eat your children, praise be Allah that doesn't... How do you do those two things? Praise be Allah. I'm a religious person. Also, I will eat your kids. Since he's an enigma.
He said, I'm Sonny Liston. Is that really the smart thing to say? Sonny
Liston was a hell of a fighter. But
yeah, and also, he should not have been trash-talking Lennox Lewis, as I recall how that fight went down.
It didn't go down well. Biggest sports enigma... Perloff said Tebow. I said Mike Tyson. EJ, who do you have?
It's clobbering time. Shout out to my guy, Pete Bellotti. He would love this because I'm going with a wrestling pick. And I'm going with one CM Punk. When you think about the name CM Punk, wrestler, briefly a UFC fighter.
I'm a great time.
Briefly a comic book writer. He's done all different kind of things. But when you talk about CM Punk, you talk about what he does when he gets in front of a microphone, and you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's real and what's not real. Like this press conference, one of his last in AEW, where after this, he went and brawled a couple guys backstage. But before that, he was annoyed because of things that were being said about him on TV.
What did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed dumb like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and go into business for himself? For what? What did I do? Dave, what did I ever do?
What did he ever do? Well, he also was mad that one of his friends, who's also a former wrestler who also worked at AEW, was suing him, and he wasn't done at this very same press conference.
It's his funeral. I don't care. He shares a bank account with his mother that tells you all you need to know about what kind of character that is. I appreciate it, Nick. I'm sorry if I'm a little snippy. I'm hurt and I'm old and I'm tired and I work with children.
Is he stuffing his face in at the end right there?
He's
eating a muffin.
Yeah, it's
He's
great.
eating a muffin.
I relate to that.
And by the way, he's saying all this sitting right next to our good friend Tony Khan.
Yeah.
And Tony Khan sitting right
loves
there. His boss at the time, the guy who's worth multi-billion dollars, co-owner of the Jaguars, and he's going off on everybody. As he's the champion, by the way. He just won a match. CM Punk, when he gets in front of the microphone, what's going to happen. He could fight guys in the back. He may quit at any moment, but he's an incredible talent. It's why people love him. So CM Punk is my biggest sports enigma.
The fights always happen in the back.
By the way, EJ, I liked my wrestling enigma. Mankind or George the Animal Steel or The Undertaker. All those guys were quite mysterious as well.
Oh, yeah, but those guys were mysterious in character. The fact that CM Punk, you don't know what's going to happen with him while he's in character, when he's out of character.
Are we sure he knows the difference?
I don't know if he does.
I don't know.
That's the thing.
I think it's all character. But anyway, we're doing biggest sports enigmas today. The patron saint of this, Jameis Winston. Is he a good quarterback? Is he a bad quarterback? Hard to tell. Manny, who do you have quick?
All right, so I will go with the most famous Australian to ever grace the city of Philadelphia. I'm going to go with...
That's specific.
Gonna go with,
who's number 2?
Going to go with Ben Simmons.
Olivia Newton-John.
Ben Simmons was touted as one of the greatest basketball prospects we have ever seen. He's supposed to be Magic Johnson, today's Magic Johnson. He drives the lane. Defenses collapse. He's supposed to be this godlike thing in the NBA, and it just never panned out. And it doesn't seem like he's very well liked among ex-teammates. George Niang, what do you think?
He was walking around the facility, like, you'd be like, "What's up, man?" Because they're like, back in, and he'd be like, and that's when I was like, this dude. Like,
oh,
if I get an opportunity to play against this dude, I'm gonna be like, there's etiquette and the game. There's like, don't do dumb when you're out there. I was like, window.
Well, yeah, it doesn't seem like he's very well
He
liked.
was like, and I was like, and then he was like, and I was like, bleep that dude.
Yeah. There's a lot of bleeping. So I'll go with Benjamin.
By the way, Jordan Mailata, Australian. Left tackle, Eagles.
Well, I mean,
potential Hall of Famer.
I think he'll be. I think he can get an escort from you Philadelphians down around Broad Street.
What if the Phillies ever had an Australian player too? Like, he's like the 8th worst Australian athlete to ever grace Philadelphia. But you're right, he's definitely an enigma.
Ben Simmons is a good sports enigma. All right, Bogus, take us home.
Late change for me. I'm going to go with CM Punk's writers as the biggest enigma. Sorry, had to do it.
Bogus's disdain for professional wrestling.
It just doesn't apply. It's not a sport. Anyway,
said $1.
I'm going to go back to 2003, 2004. And mention the name of Freddie Adu. We were told this 14-year-old kid was the next great soccer player, was going to be the face of American soccer, was going to drag soccer into the mainstream, signs with DC United, scores a couple of goals as a 14, 15-year-old, and then nothing. And then he's barely a journeyman. I think he ends up playing on like 9 teams in 15 years all around the globe. It just never, ever happened for Freddie Adu. And I don't know that anybody knows why, except maybe we shouldn't get carried away with 14-year-olds.
Yeah. Freddie Adu's last name is what happened to that guy.
Yeah.
Like crazy. I agree. Remember, he was the future of sports?
Definitely. I remember I was in D.C. when he was at D.C. United. They used to draw these huge crowds, and yeah. So, okay, we're looking for the greatest and biggest sports enigma, person you just can't figure out. In the chat, Andy B says Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I see what.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that. He's crazy. Like, we know what's going on.
We know that. Vontae's perfect scrambled his brain.
Yeah, it seems to line up with that. But I picked Mike Tyson, which would always also kind of land a bit in the Antonio Brown kind of category.
Mr. Big Chest.
But at least for Mike Tyson, he's got like, why he's such an enigma is Mike Tyson also has like a series of children's books. Like, yeah, what? Who would buy their kid a Mike Tyson children's book?
Trying to get a second chance in to prove your point there, Meg.
Yes,
back to Tyson.
I forgot the children's
You're not
book
winning
thing.
this ball.
Okay, so
actually, you might win this ball.
I might win this ball. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNets, where you can watch the show. Twitch.tv on X at Maggie Gray, and you can vote and call in biggest sports enigmas.
A big old chocolate ass in MetLife.
Who was that? Antonio Brown?
That was AB.
Manny, how do you find this stuff? That's why you're full time. Okay, Maggie and Pearl, don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He's by Lawson. Corbuccio wipes the bottom of his sneakers. He's guarded by Lawson. Play in action.
4 minutes, 30
gets
seconds
screen from
remaining.
Ratliff. Carbuccia driving. Finds Ratliff. Free throw line. Jay. Yes! Clock continues to run. Panthers have one final chance. Here's Kennedy. Kennedy with 5. Step back. Jay. Yes! Oh, Josiah Kennedy! Ice cold. Timeout. Stepping in.
4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff show. You know when they show the in the hunt graphic on games?
Yeah.
Cowboys are still in the hunt, technically. They still make the very bottom of that graphic. So I think it's, we should stick with Cowboy Quickie at 5-7. It's not over till it's over, right?
Well, that's not exactly why we're hearing the Cowboy Quickie music. Because I think they put everyone in the hunt until you're mathematically eliminated, right?
I don't think it's hard to be mathematically eliminated now. I think the team they'd have to pass is the 8-5 Commanders, and they're 5-7.
They just beat the Commanders.
crazy.
Yeah. And that was a silly game.
Yeah.
Okay, today's Cowboy Quickie. This is fresh. It's brand new. Got Dak Prescott doing an interview with Jory Epstein, friend of the show. Here's what he told Jory about his head coach, Mike McCarthy.
I believe in him wholeheartedly. I don't want to necessarily get into the nuts and the screws of it all, obviously, but I think he definitely deserves a chance, another contract, and a chance to coach this team amongst and kind of, I guess you can say, more influence on his terms.
Okay, that's interesting. More from Dak on McCarthy.
Wholeheartedly believe in him. The guys won a Super Bowl. I know Jerry's attested to that. There's not many guys or coaches who have done that, and to have one that can do it from experience, and I know how valuable he's been for me.
Okay, so that's Dak supporting his head coach.
Yeah.
The end of that first clip was the really interesting part. Not just the fact that Dak said he should get a contract and all that, but he should be able to coach, what did he say, on his terms?
Yeah.
On his terms.
I believe in him wholeheartedly. I don't want to necessarily get into the nuts and the screws of it all, obviously, but I think he definitely deserves a chance, another contract, and a chance to coach this team amongst and kind of, I guess you can say, more influence on his terms.
More influence on his terms. Okay.
What does that mean? More influence on his terms?
I think he's probably talking about the roster, I would imagine. I think he's implying about the meddling from the front office. That's the way I took it, and just kind of understanding the dynamic of that team.
I actually wondered, does that mean the front office is meddling on play calling and game strategy? Do you think they're even during the season getting in there?
I do.
Yeah. Because of drafting, actually, I think Mike McCarthy would probably like the Cowboys are a pretty good drafting team. So he can't really complain about that. I think but that doesn't sound right. Are you telling me that Jerry's calling out and say, run Zeke Elliott on this play?
I mean, I think there's a reason why Jerry's in the locker room talking to the media after every single game. I think he definitely has an influence on strategy.
I don't think so. I mean, my theory that he really has had zero influence on the draft in recent years. They've kind of been toying with him and pretending that he has an influence. Right? He's not actually out there scouting Cooper Beebe.
I don't know. Listen, I mean, maybe not. He's a busy guy. He's got a lot of responsibilities, but I do think he fancies himself a very smart football mind. And I think that he wants a coach that will listen to his input.
God, I can't. I totally hear you. Yeah, I hear you. I just don't think McCarthy would really call plays with Jerry Jones. Again, you could be right.
Well, he's maybe not saying, spider too wide banana or something. But, yeah, I think that Jerry definitely wants to influence how the game looks. That's your Cowboy Quickie, by the way.
So what does Jerry want? More passing, more running? What would a Jerry strategy be?
Well, it can't be more passing if you're not going to give the guy any wide receivers.
Well, he gave him Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he tried. He tried.
Come on.
He paid Brandon Cooks some real money. That was the game plan. He screwed that up. I don't really know what this means. I'd love for him to get into the nuts and screws, as he says.
I was going to say.
I really want to hear what this means. And also, by the way, Dak's got to say that about his current coach. I have no problem with Dak.
Well, that's why I think that little part at the end to say the influence on his terms, I think that's the most interesting part. Yeah. Listen, you could also support your coach without saying, I think he should get a new contract. You could say, I think he's the right guy for the team. You don't have to get into the nuts and screws of that.
Nuts and screws. Yeah, I do think you're kind of scared if you're a Cowboys fan that they're going to bring back McCarthy. Nothing against Mike McCarthy, but you need a reset.
Well, everything against Mike McCarthy.
I don't even mind him. I just think you need a reset. You need somebody, if there is influence, you need a strong figure. You need that 3-year Bill Parcells run to get the ship going in the right direction. There's so much young talent there. Somebody's got to get in there and make this a professional team.
Well, that's going to be tough when you got Jerry, Circus Master, upstairs.
Yeah.
855-212-4227.
That's why you're bummed to hear that if you're a Cowboy fan.
Today's great debate, the biggest sports enigmas of all time. This is based off of Jameis Winston's performance on Monday and Jameis Winston's career. Is he a good quarterback or a bad quarterback? Hard to tell sometimes. And also off of Aaron Rodgers has a new Netflix documentary that's coming out later this month where the title is Aaron Rodgers, Enigma. I think we're going to watch him do ayahuasca in this thing, which is pretty nuts. I don't know if I want to. It's like going to be like a car wreck. I don't know if I want to watch someone do drugs on camera.
I can't believe that any of this is real. That trailer is reality.
You watched the trailer?
It looks like somebody from like SNL should be. It should be like a Lonely Island skit.
Yes, it does look like a parody. At one point, like they're doing some kind of tea ceremony or something, and his like face is painted in like this indigenous kind of way. It seems like I don't say exploitive, but just kind of like co-opting someone else's rituals, like for his own Netflix documentary, feels kind of cheap.
Yeah, I don't know. It does not. The trailer is not a compliment to him in my eyes.
It makes him look very self-involved. But that's Aaron Rodgers. And Perloff made a good point. Yeah, Perloff made a good point earlier. If in Aaron Rodgers' perfect world, they're making a playoff push when this thing is getting released. So with the Jets, right, where nothing has ever gone right for this team since 1969, not one thing has broken the Jets' way since the 60s. Now, in theory, you'd be going towards a playoff push, so you would drop this like it could be very distracting, very me-first documentary and then claim to be all about the team.
From the No Distractions guy.
But the football documentaries they're very rarely, they're curated to be positive.
Oh, and if this was just him coming back from the Achilles, then I get he's just the hero of his own story and he's just trying to still put himself above the team, but have everyone say, hey, look at you, look at how great you did in rehabbing this injury. But to also do the ayahuasca part of it is like...
Yeah, I'm watching the trailer now. It kind of looks a little...
Have you gotten to the part where they're in the rainforest?
Yeah. It just looks a little, manufactured.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like the skit you would write to make fun of Aaron Rodgers' ayahuasca story.
Yeah. But
he's dead serious about this stuff. This is his life.
It kind of looks... You guys ever see the show HBO Real Sex by any chance?
Yeah.
Which was like the most unerotic show ever. Like swingers are really... disgusting people.
Yeah.
This is what this looks like.
Not disgusting, but...
I mean, yeah.
No,
but
they don't look like models generally.
Yeah, it's not like the fantasy. It's like,
have you ever been to a nude beach?
Yeah.
It's not Cindy Crawford walking
Yeah,
down.
but they'd be like, this glamorous, like they can whatever, the bunny ranch in Vegas, like, the room's a little dirty. Like, the camera's a little off.
They line up all the girls. You're like, got anyone else?
This guy just
anyone in the back?
Hasn't shaved in 4 days, but not in a cool way. And it's like there's always
his wife just passed away and he hasn't been with a woman in like years. Just like a sad story.
Yeah.
Wait, here's a question about that Bunny Ranch show. Now that you brought it up, I always thought it was interesting the people who would just the guys who would just openly go on that show. It's like, do you have a job? You are totally cool with everyone in your life now knowing that you went to the Bunny Ranch?
Yeah, and they actually show them doing their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
how do you walk into the office on Monday?
How was your weekend?
Deeper. I don't think they're doing real office jobs, Maggie. I think they're doing something where it's by themselves and they don't deal with other people.
Yeah, but there's something about this.
There's
looks
a
like
joke there that I'm not going to
sort of looks like a real set. Like it looks like one of those HBO cheesy shows, like self-improvement. Yeah, the whole thing looks really cheesy. We can agree on that.
To me, it's also like he wants to show himself as this enlightened person, but to me, you kind of throw all that away by having these very intimate moments being filmed and recorded with 10, 12 other people and with cameras and lights and microphone equipment. Like to me, like...
Where's the mystery?
Right, yeah. And
where's the enigma?
If you really are about, I'm just about, finding myself and doing whatever, you just do this stuff on your own. And maybe you talk about it, you do self-help, whatever. But, like, the fact that he's saying, let's do a whole documentary, bring all these people in to one of these very sacred... He said he went through, a sacred journey or something like that. Like, what looks sacred about that? There's a million people in there.
I just always feel bad for the camera guy. Well, it not feel bad. It's like an interesting thing to do if you're like the camera, the sound guy. It's like everyone. It's like Philip
You're
Seymour
holding the boom mic while he's
Seymour
baptized in the Ganges. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you take the drugs again?
Could you dunk them again in the Amazon? Thanks.
My camera wasn't rolling. Can you drink this? Can you drink the tea?
Can you puke in my direction? Thanks, Aaron.
It's like, wait, I don't know if I should drink any more of this. That's the other part. This is like some very powerful drug. I don't know if to be
ayahuasca. Yeah.
No, it makes you throw up a ton.
Yeah, I know, but it's not like he's like doing like heroin.
No, but I don't want to watch him puke in in a hut.
No,
or
but
whatever.
every single person who has done it said it's extremely powerful. Like you can't
Yeah,
mess
but it's
around
like-
here. So, like, if somebody's like, "Oh, I watched this and I got inspired to go do it," it's like you really got to be
but
careful.
It's not like he's going to an alley and putting a tourniquet around his
Oh,
left
God,
arm.
no.
I'm just saying, like, it's a natural drug. Like, I think you can get away with doing this on TV. It's not like, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Like,
I don't know. Doing mushrooms is technically comes from the earth, but
Yeah,
you
but
could
that's like-
probably act a little strange. No.
yeah, but that's become kind of mainstream too, right? Is everybody microdosing now, like openly?
That's
Manny's
micro.
high right now.
Way to pull behind the curtain.
No, I mean I've heard Roger talk about like
I
it's
am not
definitely-
Stu.
There's no stigma. Ayahuasca is a powerful drug, but it's not like heroin or coke.
I don't think you should be operating heavy machinery while you're under the influence of it. is what I
Yeah,
would
but
say.
it's got a whole different vibe. Like it's right. Yeah.
No, like I don't think he's
think
like
so.
an addict, but I think Maggie's point was I just don't want to watch him physically go through
Right.
this. Like that doesn't sound like good TV to me.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
see.
I'm not watching this. I'll tell you that
Yeah,
right now.
of
I
course
could
not.
care less about
Oh,
any
I'm
of this.
watching
Like, I want to see is he going to sign with the Titans or the Niners next year? Until he got, and honestly, if he was better at football right now, this would be interesting. But he sucks. Like that game was terrible on Sunday.
So the odds-on favorite of where he is going to play next year. Have
Yeah.
you seen this? BetOnline.ag. The Raiders.
Yeah, if that happens too, I won't watch that. He's
Speaking of
got
Stu.
to like he's got to go to a
Speaking of
contender.
Stu, the only Raider fan around
Yeah.
here is just dead inside because his team sucks.
But and also too, are you going to sit through 40 minutes of watching him in physical therapy to get to the ayahuasca, or are you going to fast forward?
Depends how well done the documentary is.
Is it 3 parts?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
That's 3 too many.
I mean, he's so overexposed right now. He does the weekly McAfee. There was a book out this year. Like
That wasn't his book, though.
yeah, but I mean, it did get a lot of press, and I just think like, come on, dude. Like we need to see you play football again, like at a decent level.
But EJ's right. What he said a few minutes ago, like when you're deep and spiritual, you should just do it. He seems like he needs us to approve it. Like that he needs us to be
To
okay
watch him
with
doing
it, to
it.
watch him do it. Like that's not the norm for that type of lifestyle. Like
Yeah.
like there aren't monks in Nepal begging for Netflix to do specials on them.
well, maybe Nepal, but yeah,
Maybe.
that industry has got some skeptics.
I think when Aaron Rodgers, and I might be wrong about this, I'm doing this off the top of my head. I think he went to meet the Dalai Lama and there was a camera there.
Yeah.
Because I think he brought the Dalai Lama a football.
Because I mean, psychoanalyzing, but I don't care. I feel like he's doing this for us, not for himself. He wants to show us who he is, not be the person that he wants to be.
That's deep. I've got a deep cut on Rodgers. I think he doesn't want to retire because he needs that family aspect of a football team.
I think once his leg gets healed, dude still slings it. I mean, not quite as much, but it comes out of his hand like a missile. Still, I think it could be good. I want him on a good team with a good offensive coordinator next year, and let's see what happens.
Well, you got Tom Brady now with some influence, we think, with the Raiders. Does Brady bring in Belichick, and Belichick will bring in Aaron Rodgers? That's a circus.
That's terrible. I said an offensive coach. I don't need to see Mac Jones version 2.0.
Well, bring Bill O'Brien with you. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Josh McDaniel, bring him back to the Raiders.
I don't know if he can walk back in that building. Also, does Devontae Adams, if Rodgers signs with the Raiders, does Adams just be like, all right, can I come back?
Don't you guys want to see Rodgers with Shanahan? That would be amazing. Like,
I don't think it would be.
oh, he'd be ideal. It'd be his Stafford. It'd be great.
What about Brock?
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, has anyone
I
jumped
love
off
Brock.
the Purdy bandwagon faster than Perloff and half of America?
I love Brock. I would bring them both in next year. That's my ultimate Niners
So Brock's
play.
making $50 million, and Rodgers is the starter or the backup?
No, Rodgers gets like, I don't know how you do the cap, gets the $1 million contract that Russell has. And I don't know, you battle out whoever's healthy on a given Sunday with those two.
Flip a coin. All right, Bogues, let's do some headlines.
And they're sponsored by GoodRx. For simple, smart savings on your prescriptions, go to goodrx.com or download the free GoodRx app. My brain just sucks. Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia, Indiana, Ohio State, Tennessee, and Penn State, Arizona State. Those are the last hypothetical first-round matchups from last night's CFP reveal. Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State getting first-round buys. Not mentioned were Miami, Ole Miss, or South Carolina, all stuck outside the bracket behind the 3-loss Crimson Tide. Only upsets in the ACC and or Mountain West title game can help them. All of that, though, overshadowed by the Knicks and Magic playing for the East Group A title last night at MSG.
Brunson in the front court, finds Hart. Bridges connects a three-pointer. Mikal Bridges, another timeout. Orlando, the lead is ballooned to 33.
As dramatic an early Tuesday in December can be, Mike Breen on MSG TV, the Knicks cruising to a 121-106 win over Orlando to claim that Group A title. Magic head coach Jamal Mosley bummed.
16 turnovers for 32 points. That's what happened. We coughed it up. Gave them easy baskets.
But the Magic do reach the quarterfinals as the East wild card, which means facing the Bucks in Milwaukee next week. Those Bucks, the 1 seed after a 128-107 decision in Detroit, extending their win streak to 7. The Knicks will host the Hawks in the Elite Eight.
We are the New York Knicks.
The Thunder claim the top spot on the West by downing the Jazz 133-106, and the Rockets falling in Sacramento 120-111. The Mavs and Warriors also advancing on that side of the bracket. Chaz Lanier scored 26 as third-ranked Tennessee took care of Syracuse 96-70, but number 4 Kentucky, a 70-66 loser at Clemson. The Wildcats were averaging nearly 97 points a game. Juan Soto is narrowing his list of possible new teams. Maybe he picks one of them before baseball's winter meetings begin on Sunday. Reports yesterday said Soto's offers were all over $600 million. And since I have that pity invite to Saturday's Islander game, I guess I should be up to speed on those fish sticks.
Now here's Mike Matheson right side. Drops it again. Nick Suzuki, shot, stop, rebound, scores! Nick Suzuki, overtime winner for Montreal.
Over the Islanders 2-1.
I'm Andrew Bogish.
That's not going to help you with the owner of the Islanders when you meet this guy.
I'm Andrew Bogish.
I was told yesterday, Perloff, I think you missed this after the show, that I was only invited because I don't get to do cool things around here.
I actually did hear
Oh,
that.
you are good.
What are the cool things that anybody's doing around here?
Well, 2014 was a big year. I went to the Super Bowl and the Final Four, but that was a decade ago.
Oh, that kind of
yeah.
But are there cool things going down? You guys said there used to be Christmas parties around this joint.
That's true.
Yep.
I mean, you guys have traveled more recently than I have. There are live events and giveaways and free things sometimes, and normally I'm not on those lists.
We zoomed in with you in Vegas last year. Does that count?
It does not.
That's that's not a cool thing. Like I feel like these are
very
not
cool.
cool things.
I love going to Vegas.
Can I go instead of you this year then?
That's a work trip. Like I'm saying,
You didn't have any fun? You fell in love with three Connors last time you were in Vegas.
I was at work.
We went to
the
an
entire
Elvis
time.
wedding. It was dope. We went to an Elvis wedding, and Perloff looked at me at one point, no joke, and said, Sarah and I should do this. And I was like, you should. Do you remember that?
I thought you said you and your husband should do that. No?
Are neither one of you guys
No.
married? What do you mean do that?
They were renewing their vows.
Oh.
Sorry.
I got the video. I could roll the tape.
Oh.
EJ in the corner filming.
No. But like that is not a perk of the job. Like I feel like that is different.
It feels like
That's
a perk
different.
of the job.
I feel like
for
Gio
those
was
who don't
saying,
get the
like,
perks.
people are getting helicopter rides out to Vegas for some where there's cool stuff going on. That's what I'm wondering because I'm missing out on some stuff too. It sounds like, according to Gio.
How are your free Nick tickets and?
That has nothing to do with this place. You kidding me? If I pretend that I don't even know Maggie when I go to the
Probably smart. 855-212-4227. All right, lots more to do, including a college football aspect of the rankings that we have not gotten to yet. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
White diamonds, 2 a.m. she wildin'. She sick, got they stomach in her comments. What school you went
Welcome back.
to?
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Couple things on the plate for you. Our great debate today was which athlete's the biggest enigma, the most enigmatic athlete? Perloff, you went with Tim Tebow, went with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
EJ went with CM Punk. Manny went with Ben Simmons. And Bogish went with Freddie Adu. People is tough to figure out. We also got some college football playoff stuff for you. Meanwhile, Jeff is in Tucson, Arizona, has a question about that college football playoff. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, good morning, Molly. How are you?
We're great. What's up?
Hey, so I'm an Ohio State grad. Actually went to high school with Archie Griffin at Eastmore Academy.
Wow.
So I've been around a long time being a grad. And this playoff, is Ohio State really going to be able to go 4 games and beat all those teams to get to the playoff? Or we don't get by Tennessee or Oregon?
Man, Jeff, I don't know how you could feel really confident right now. And I know you know this because if you're a Buckeye fan, and that's really cool that you went to high school with Archie Griffin. Thank you for the call. He is one of the most gentlemanly people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. 2-time Heisman winner. But I don't know how you could feel confident, Perloff, that you'll get by Tennessee or get by Oregon if the college football playoff was today. That would be the path.
Yeah, but then again, if you're Oregon, are you confident seeing Ohio State come in the building? Not in the building, or meeting them on a neutral field? Because Ohio State was right there in Eugene. So it's just a toss-up. Honestly, I know Ohio State played terribly against Michigan, but if they actually decide to pass the ball to Jeremiah Smith, then that's a different ball game altogether.
Do you not think there's a mental aspect of this for Ohio State, which is you've got more than just a loss to get over?
Well,
right?
I don't, because of what happened with Justin Fields. I was Fields, right? Who got killed by Michigan, and then they turned around and played the game of their life against Georgia. No, I think they could bounce back. I mean, it's clearly a strategy thing, too. They weren't using their weapons.
I don't think that Ryan Day was as embattled then with the Justin Fields year that he is now.
But that was such a heartbreaker. That loss was a heartbreaker.
No, I get it, but they were not a 20-point favorite in that game and losing.
But they have access to game tape, right? Maybe don't run into the line 650 times in a row. Like, they can't strategically come up with a worse plan. So by definition, they're going to have a better plan in this game, whatever game. I just think, don't you look at any of these matchups and can't you squint and see either side winning? Do you see a lot of blowouts? Even say it's Arizona State, Penn State. We've watched Arizona State the last few weeks, and that team looks legit.
So I think that you do have to ask the question, though, how big of a home field advantage does Penn State have with a team from Tempe coming to a place that's in Harrisburg, outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania?
Maybe get a mixed, kind of a warm day. I don't know. And it won't necessarily be Penn State. You have no idea. Could be Oregon there. Could be Notre Dame. But generally, I think there's going to be a lot of parity in this 12-team playoff.
I think there will be. I don't know if the point spreads, which we talk about a lot around here, I don't know if the point spreads are going to reflect that. I think you're going to have some big spreads, but I don't know if it's going to go that way. Like, let's just take, for example, today. If Arizona State was traveling to Penn State, this is not the NFL. That's not a 3.5 point spread. That's going to be like 11.5.
Yeah, which for college football is not huge.
I know, but it's still over a touchtouchdown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but in college football, like, that's moderate, I think, because what was Michigan, Ohio State?
20.5, 21.
Yeah, I think if it's anything under 2 touchdowns, that's like a ball game in college football. And that's the one, probably the biggest. I mean, Boise State might be a big underdog, too.
Well, what do you think, Georgia and Indiana? In Athens.
Ohio State was, 14 or 13.5 over Indiana? Yeah, so right around there, 14.5.
I mean, I think you're going to end up getting some pretty big points.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Michigan 65-7 over TCU. I don't think so.
You mean Georgia?
I'm sorry, Georgia, right. Georgia 65-7 over TCU. I don't think we're going to have blowouts like that. I think all the games could match up pretty good. Just because, I mean, Boise State lost to Oregon 37-34.
I know.
These teams are all very, very tightly packed.
855-212-4227. Let's update some polls, shall we? Because we asked you who should be the last at-large bid in this college football playoff. Major controversy that Alabama's a 3-loss Alabama got in over a 2-loss Miami. 35% say Miami should be the last team in. 30% say South Carolina, a team on a 6-game winning streak. South Carolina's playing some of the best football in the country right now, but they are on the outside looking in. Alabama 20%, Ole Miss 15%. I'm surprised with Lane Kiffin being as outspoken as he is at times that more people aren't a little more receptive to Ole Miss. The resume is very good.
I've heard a lot more South Carolina than Ole Miss.
Which is the bigger college football brand, Notre Dame or Alabama? 51% of you say Notre Dame, 49% say Alabama. It's close.
Andrew Perloff did an alternate poll on this one on his Twitter feed just to see if it was same 75% Alabama, 25% Notre Dame.
How'd you cook the question?
What's the bigger college football brand right now?
Right now. There you go.
You did it.
This guy went rogue.
Wait, I don't understand. What's the difference?
Well, because Bama's won championships more recently, but who's the bigger brand? Just period. Why'd you have to put right now?
Yes, that's my whole argument why the committee went with Alabama, because they're the biggest. They're the Dallas Cowboys of the college football world.
Wait, last two for you. If you had $3 million to spend, would you buy the Batmobile? 78% of you say no. And do you want to watch Aaron Rodgers do drugs on his Netflix documentary? 67% of you say no. Guys, this is gold. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. By drugs would be an ayahuasca. Thank you to Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Brett McMurphy, who joined us, the Weedos and the Coffee Drinkers. Catch you tomorrow.